All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Toonkind at 12 FPS. I totally didn't forget how to just do an intro just there. I am Oatmeal, and I will be one of your lovely players. But with me, I have. Oh, and I will be playing the Professor, Natch. Um, but with me is a wonderful friend.
Hi. I am your host with the most, your whirlwind Gale, and I am also here, and I'm going to be playing Yuura-typical for this funny little FPS that
Yeah.
is definitely not going to go into. Oh yeah, actually, we probably should be upfront.
Mm.
There's gonna be some weird shit in this one.
Yeah, there's look at the warnings, but general there's gonna be some like Euro related body horror and also possible panicking over said body horror.
On both sides of the equation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so mind your triggers. Be kind to yourselves. We are going to be in a fictional doctor's office today, so let's not send anyone to the actual hospital.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yep.
or, booking an emergency appointment with their therapist. But all that to say, welcome to the FPS. I think as, we talked about pre-FPS, some stuff
Mm.
went down off screen. Yoda got the professor's assistance with a little bit of paperwork and registration stuff for um a certain thing that I imagine probably Moria or one of the others was like, hey, it's tedious, but you really ought to do this just for, health reasons. Which is going in for a character registration at the ECCR.
Mm-hmm.
And because Yura is a kid, Yura is, 16 to 17-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Time got a little weird there for a minute, but don't worry about it.
Tunes be like that.
But yep, but because Yura is a kid, the ECCR was like, we can absolutely bring you in, but we do need for you to have an adult, especially if you're doing, a new character design appointment, because those tend to be a little bit physically draining.
Yeah.
So we need an adult present to, you know, keep on top of some of the stuff that you are not allowed to make decisions about, and also to make sure you get home safe.
Yeah.
Um, so I imagine this FPS would start with us finding uh Yura and the professor kind of walking through downtown Villestown.
Mm.
'Cause, Villestown is big city, big
Mm-hmm.
city coded. Um, and so, you've got the places where you've got like Moria's office and the places where people live, and those tend to be kind of more of the red brick buildings, kind of the older looking place. But if you
Mm.
go closer to the city center, you're gonna find, you know, skyscrapers and shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this is no exception. Um, because, as you guys are walking along, you're definitely passing a couple of different like office buildings and those sorts of things. Maybe a convention center. I don't know if
Yeah.
Villestown canonically has one of those or not.
Probably.
Uh, Probably, right? I mean, this is Einquell. Of course they'd have cons.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you guys are heading down the street and you come up on a sort of definitely not the tallest building around, but decently sized skyscraper, which looks a little odd. It's very much built in this Art Deco style
Mm.
and in shining shades of silvery grayscale.
Mm.
Um, Except for its windows, which, as you kind of watch, shift through the colors of the rainbow in slow, regular sequence, going down from the bottom, almost like the colors are flowing like a waterfall.
Oh, that's pretty.
Mm-hmm. And of course, emblazoned over the door is the iconic logo of the ECCR, the pen tip over the open book with the splash of rainbow colors making up the pages.
Mm.
Um, and
Oh,
uh,
could you remind us what the ECCR stands for?
yes, so it's been a while since we've been here. Anyone who doesn't know, the ECCR is the Inkwell Continental Color Registry, a nonprofit medical and clerical organization dedicated to archiving and categorizing the various um, things that a Toonkind population would need to stay healthy. They are in charge of things like model sheets and like color palettes and maintaining a solid record of regional genre shifts and rating shifts and, you know, monitoring inspiration levels both in the population and in the environment. Um, Basically, they are the people who, when the doctor's office or the hospital needs to know something about you to be able to fix something that's wrong with
This
you.
is the database.
This is the database, yeah. Um,
Database and collection info, collection agency. I don't know, whatever.
yeah. They keep track of shit,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Um, they keep track of shit. They make sure that everything's ticking over smoothly. They do a very important job. A lot of tunes decide to dodge going to the ECCR like they're dodging the fucking draft.
Don't.
Looking at you, Tome, and Abigail, and several others. Um, my personal torment nexus. But Yoda has been recommended to go to the ECCR to get his design and colors and whatnot registered uh, because he works at a detective's office. And unfortunately, the thing about detective's office is that they work in the mystery genre, and the
Mm.
mystery genre has a non-zero injury rate.
Yeah, yeah.
So, while we do our best to keep each other out of harm's way, it's better to be safe than sorry.
There's always a little bit of danger.
There's always, the chances of you getting hurt while working at a local detective agency are, slim, but never zero.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, that is kind of our approach. How are we feeling?
Mm. The professor is, uh, very just chill, I think. He's been curious about the ECCR for a while, but never had a reason to, like, go in one because he's real kind. Um,
Hmm.
but he's heard of it. He knows that, uh, Crystal, Dr. Everlight, has, worked with them, and they like adopted some of her postulates or something like that, or she had a standard for like medical maladies. I don't remember what it is, but that they've worked together. So he's familiar with like what they are as an organization. He's seen posters, pamphlets, etc., but he's never been, and he's curious, and he's put some effort into learning Toon biology, but this is the part that he's not really observed. So
Hmm.
he's curious, but he's also, um, aware that he's here to like help Yura through this, especially because Yura's um,
New
formation,
at this.
new at this, and like his formation into a Toon was uh, extremely specific and unique and traumatic.
And shall we say non-standard?
Yeah, extremely. So he's also here for moral support.
Hmm. And Yoda is very appreciative of that.
Mm.
Um, he kind of like, as they like, establishing shot, pause in front of the building. Yoda kind of looks up and rubs at his arm and is just, oh, it's been a while since I've been to a doctor's office that wasn't a school infirmary, so this should be interesting.
Well, I've heard they're very good. So,
Well, everybody seems perfectly confident, and I've got no reason to doubt them, so yeah, no reason to be nervous.
I don't think so.
Um, no reason to be nervous, decidedly nervous. Um, but he gives Professor the smile of just like, "Yep, nope, I'm perfectly fine. This is fine."
Professor's like pats him on the shoulder, like it's all right. He's
It's like
actually he's not nervous. He's modeling not nervousness.
yeah, because like it's not like Yoda, hates doctor's offices or anything. It's just it's been a bit. It's kind
Yeah.
of like when you get a dentist appointment after you haven't been to the dentist in a while and you're like, "Oh, they're
Right.
gonna be mad at me."
Yeah.
Um, but you guys can't exactly linger outside forever. You do
Mm-mm.
have a time to keep.
Yep.
So you head inside, and inside is interesting. It is very modern. It's very like modern, slightly minimalist, and it's very like light, bright, and airy.
Mm.
Specifically, it looks like this. I don't have a full drawing of it, but I do have a reference for what the inside of the building looks like.
Yes, yes, I remember this. Do you remember what the name of the building is called so people can Google it if they don't have the chance to see it?
Yes. Or at the very least, I know what you can look up.
Mm.
It's the uh, Rainbow Kindergarten made by Japanese architect Keiichiro Sako.
Mm.
Um, and so I don't know what
The name is.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, they can look that up. It's very pretty. It's like a mostly white interior with like points of many colors in windows and like colored cutouts and stuff. It's very pretty.
Yeah. And like it's not perfectly like the image
Mhm.
in there because like as you go in, there's banners on either side of the door. There are a couple spots where like someone has, done maybe a little bit of a mural painting on the wall that looks
Mm.
like, a color swatch or like a drippy rainbow or something
Mm.
like that. It's a very bright and cheery sort of space.
Mhm.
Um And, as you go in, you can like look up and it goes up for a fair ways. And Yoda's just like, well, if nothing else, the architecture is impressive.
Yes, it's very pretty. Very
Um,
nice.
yeah. And, it's not too hard for y'all to find the front desk, uh, where the receptionist who's sitting there, is on the phone for a moment, but she sees you coming and she's like, uh, one moment, please hold. And she like sets the phone aside for a sec and smiles at the both of you and just says, "Hi there, welcome to ECCR Villstown. Do you guys have an appointment?"
I'm gonna have to ask you that whether we made an appointment because the professor would not. The professor is a walk-in kind of guy.
Yoda did make an appointment ahead of time. That's why he was able to know he would need a chaperone.
Good.
Uh, so he nods and is like, yeah, it should be under surname Audience. Audience. Yes, Yoda, right? You're one of our new character design appointments today. Hi, welcome. We're so glad to see you. If you just head up to room 32C, uh, Dr. Arter should be with you as soon as possible.
All right.
Right, okay. Which way is that? Oh, 32C, that's floor 3, hall 2, third room down the hall. Right, thank you.
Thank you. Alright, well, that's a little convoluted for a first appointment, but I think we can find it well enough.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Uh, Dr. Arter is one of our specialists, so she's a little higher up than some of our other archivists who've got, more patients.
Ah, alright.
But yeah, it shouldn't be too hard to find. She's got her number like right over the door.
Nice.
Um,
Yeah, they'll head out.
like gives a little bit of a nod and we'll head over to the stairs.
Yeah. Do, 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 do.
If you'd like to roll perception, I can give you a little bit of stuff about, what you might see as you pass different areas.
Yes.
But
Okay. I'm pretty sure that's an 8. Let me just double check. It's been a sec. Yep, that's an 8. That is an 8 total.
yeah, so with an 8, you don't catch much. You do pass a couple of doors and you the most you maybe catch is some of the names over some of the doors because some of them are, names and numbers for, oh, this is this doctor's office, this is this doctor's office. And then there are a couple oh, this is color storage, this is medium storage, this is, this kind of exam room or that kind of exam room, that sort of thing. But, it's kind of moving quickly. I guess you guys are in a hurry to get to where you're going.
Yep. Walking with purpose.
Walking with purpose. Speed walking. But yeah, you guys power walk up the building. Wind up on floor 3, finding hall 2, and the third door down the hall. Which does in fact have 32C written above the door and a little sort of name card next to the door that says Dr. Lauren Arter. Yes, it's a pun. Dr. Lauren Arter, specialist in transmutation-based manifestation. And yeah, you guys go in. It is not that either character present would know this, a fairly standard ECCR exam room office. Where you've got kind of a desk over in one corner where the doctor in question will sit to do paperwork and registration stuff, and it's got not a computer, but basically a computer set up that lets people, lets the archivists put information directly into the system rather than having to run everything all over the building.
Yeah.
The kind of stuff the Giznet branch it only wishes it could have. There's, a couple of chairs for whoever is not being examined to sit down, a couple of cabinets with various different supplies in them, a couple of silly posters on the wall, or, a couple of art pieces maybe.
Yeah.
And instead of having an exam table, It's kind of closer to like, for lack of a better term, an elevated couch.
Huh.
Um, because while for most, real kind medical stuff, it's easier to examine you lying down.
Mm.
For most Toonkind stuff, because you're not looking necessarily at just the physical body, but at the full character design, it's easier to examine you when you're sitting up,
Mm.
um,
Okay.
or when you're standing.
Mm.
So they would notice that there's like a lamp over in one corner that looks like it's almost meant to function as a spotlight.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Comfy chair, and you get like a designated place to stand and or sit as desired or
Yee,
instructed.
basically.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yee. And it's significantly less cold in here than it usually is in a doctor's office.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Yeah.
it's by no means roasty toasty,
Mm.
but,
Yeah, they're usually a little chilly.
it's not as chilly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice, nice.
Um, mm, yeah, and it's probably got like a window with, the shifting colored glass, but the glass is, probably obviously frosted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's nice little space.
Mm-hmm.
Probably got, some of those clear plastic bins with the little pamphlets on different health
Mm.
things that you can look at.
Yeah, yeah.
Yura will kind of make the joke of like, this is nicer than most doctor's offices I've ever been to.
It is definitely nice. It's hmm. Yeah, this is nice.
Um, yeah, and will go over and sit down at the spot that is, probably,
For him.
yeah, just
Yeah.
like, okay, I kind of know how these things work, so I will sit on the thing that is probably where they want me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a couple minutes pass, and then there is a knock at the door, um, before it, kind of swings open, and uh, a um sort of tall-ish Hassan woman with gray hair and gray eyes who very much looks in place in this building, to say the least.
In place?
Uh yeah, in place. 'Cause the building has like
A lot of gray.
the whole grayscale with uh bright bits of color, and she very much also has that going on,
Okay, okay.
where she has like a very simple grayscale design, but then her outfit has different splashes of color all over it.
Oh, nice.
Um, like she's got the, classic white lab coat, but also
Mm.
she's got um maybe like a bright rainbow tie-dye t-shirt underneath or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and um a little silver pendant with, the symbol of some god or another.
Mm.
Uh, and she kind of looks into the room and is just like, hi. I've got an appointment with Yoda Audience.
That's right.
Is that the right room? This is the right room. Well, of course it's the right room. It's the right people in the right room. Hello. And she will come on in, and, take a look at the two people she is now interacting with. And just tilt her head, because it's a little surprising to see, a real kind as
Yeah.
the chaperone for a Toonkind character.
Yep.
But, she does run transmutation-based manifestation, so she's
Mm.
just gonna assume, okay, this is fairly standard.
Yeah.
This is just someone you knew before you got switched.
Yeah.
Um,
Unusual, but not unheard of.
exactly. And it's not even unheard of for Toons to have real kind friends. So,
Yeah.
again, unusual, not unheard of.
Yeah.
Uh, and she kind of like looks over the paperwork, murmurs a couple of notes to herself, sets that on her desk, and just kind of perches on the edge of her desk and looks at the both of you,
Hmm.
and just says, "All right, so this is your first time?" Uh, Yoda, kind of nods. Not to say that he has moused up a bit, but he has moused up a bit.
Uh huh.
He nods and Lauren smiles and's like, "You don't need to be nervous, sweetheart. We don't bite." Um, so you've written down here that you're a transmutation-based manifestation. Um, do you know what you were before? Um, Human mostly? Mostly. Uh, there was a complication involved. But human, physically human. Right. Okay. Complication. Um, is that something I should be concerned about?
Hmm.
And Yetta, like, kind of looks a little hesitant and looks over at Professor, like, how the fuck do you explain Overblot to a medical professional that's not Crystal?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He he kind of thinks because yeah, that is kind of a tricky one. Um uh I think the relevant bit might be that it involves magic uh from a different world.
Gotcha. All right. So, very much a magic-based transmutation and might not be working on the same system that we're familiar with.
I'd say that's accurate.
All right. Okay. I don't usually handle isekai appointments, but if it's both, then it could be me or Marcus. Marcus is busy today, so I can handle this one.
Hmm.
All right. So, originally, are you originally from the other world that this came from, or are you from around here? Uh, Originally from elsewhere, made a bit of a multi-stage jump. Gotcha, gotcha. All right, well, welcome to Zatori. Uh, thank you. You're very welcome. All right, if you've got a magic-based manifestation condition, then it's probably safest for us to start with the um, metaphysics exams, just to make sure that you haven't got anything that's going to majorly screw you over come the future.
Mm.
That's possible? It's not likely, but we have had a couple incidents where when somebody makes a jump between two worlds, the rules tend to not be jazzed about it.
Mm.
Um,
Yura,
and some shit can go wrong.
imagine Yura if you had come in earlier, you would probably have uh, an issue.
Oh. Oh, like that one movie. Okay.
Wait, what movie?
Um, Spider-Man Across the Spider Multiverse?
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, no, he just like smiles and says arachnoman, but yes. um
oh, they made her a guy in the version you know? Ew.
uh,
Spider-Man is the coolest. I like her.
Um, but yes, before things settled, it would be understandable that they would detect something that would say, hey, something is wrong.
Mhm.
Just sort of like making, sort of a significant look at Yura, like, hey, before you overblot it,
Yeah.
like, they would
You know,
have
just
detected something wrong.
yeah, you know, just you know, visible cringe. Just yeah, that would have been bad.
Hopefully, things are more settled now.
Hopefully. Meanwhile, Lauren is just looking at this verbal ping pong, like, okay, there's some history here.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to go into that eventually, but maybe that's at a follow-up appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so she's like, yeah, all right. So we're going to start with just handling some of the metaphysical measurements. We're going to be looking at your inspiration levels, because that's kind of
Mm.
the be all end all vital stat for tunes. Because we run on inspiration, we run on magic. All of us, our people are initially born from the well of inspiration, and therefore inspiration kind of runs through all of us and defines how well our bodies are able to function. So if that gets too low, it can start to wear on you physically. And if it gets too high, you can start to have some less than desirable, not exactly wild magic, but
Mm.
it can have some effects.
I'd say we're a little bit familiar. We have some friends with inspiration deficiency who moved from outside Inkwell to Inkwell for their health.
Oh, interesting. We've got a couple patients like that here, yes. Haven't been in for a bit, but we do have some of those on record.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, so we're just going to make sure that you haven't got anything going on there. And then we're also probably going to probably best to check for genre and rating. Those ones aren't as vital. Not every tune has a set genre or set rating. Um, Typically, you will see in younger tunes a tendency towards lower ratings, but if the genre offsets it, then that can be a thing. And
Mm.
she just kind of looks a little frustrated because she lives in Billstown. And
Mm-hmm.
again, the mystery genre is fraught with peril.
Yeah, and the child detective is not an unknown entity here.
Very much not. Um, so if you fall into certain genres, it can be uh your rating can be a little higher, or you might just not have one. That is pretty common with my patients, with those who experience transmutation-based Toonkind manifestations, because um, typically stuff like genre and rating is developed over time.
Mm.
So if your manifestation was relatively recent, um, it may not have had time to develop yet.
Hmm. How
Uh,
how recent would you say um, it's been, Yura?
Yoda kind of looks up at the ceiling and then, does like counting on his fingers and it's like, maybe like a year or two?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
A year or two, all right. So you might have settled into, at the very least, a loose genre, but it's unlikely you have a solid rating yet. And if you've, had, shall we say, an eclectic swath of activities in your life, you might not even have settled into a genre. So if that
Mm.
one comes up inconclusive, that's not too bad. Um, but yeah, that one and inspiration levels should be what we start with today, I think.
All right, sounds good.
Um, Yetta also like nods in agreement, and Lauren smiles and says, "All right, so we're gonna start with, let's have you sit up a little straighter, please." Yoda does. Kind of, you know, it's very much that thing where like someone tells you to sit up straighter, and you just like, "Oh shit, I didn't realize I was slouching."
Yeah.
Um, and uh, Dr. Arter goes over to one of the cabinets and opens it up. At which point it is noted that this particular cabinet doesn't have a bottom. It's more of just a door
Oh.
into a gap on the floor, or
Oh.
a gap that just like touches the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Because inside is kind of the things that they'll use at like a doctor's office to take your blood pressure.
Oh, yeah.
It's got something kind of like that.
Okay. Like a meter with something attached to it.
Yeah, and it's got like the rolly stand thingamawhat's it on it.
Yeah. All right.
Um, and she will roll that over next to the sofa. Definitely takes her a sec because she is tall, she is not super strong. Uh, so, definitely kind of has to push and shove the damn thing into place. And she just kind of shakes her head and is just like, I swear, if too much light exposure couldn't offset it, I would just leave this thing where I need it.
Hmm.
And Yoda kind of giggles at that, and um, Lauren like takes the two of you through kind of what the different things on the screen mean.
Mm-hmm.
Explains that inspiration levels get split into three.
Hmm.
Uh, you have your PIL, AIL, and GIL, which is your passive inspiration, your active inspiration, and your generative inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Passive inspiration is roughly how much inspiration your body generally holds,
Hmm.
and roughly how much it needs to function.
Mm-hmm.
Active inspiration is how much your body actively has. Basically how much inspiration you're currently running on.
Mm-hmm.
And generative inspiration is how much you generate in terms of inspiration. And as she's kind of setting it up, she does ask you a couple questions like, do you use magic? How often are you exposed to inspiration sources? That kind of thing.
Mm.
And she explains that most tunes have a fairly middle of the road passive and active level, and generative levels are typically pretty low, but tend to be a little higher in mages and those with inborn natural magic.
Mm.
You'll see a higher inspiration level in someone like a sorcerer than you will in someone like, say, a standard fighter.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Um, and Yoda, answers your question like, yes, he does use magic. He is a bard. Um, and inspiration sources, he's not exactly clear because he doesn't know the inspiration levels of the people around him.
Yeah, Professor would just shrug and say, like, other than the, like, Inkwell ambiance, we don't know. Hello? Hello? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We might have had a small, disconnection. Um, uh... Hello, hello, hello. Hmm. Hello, hello. Oh, my connection is...
Testing, testing.
Ah, hello, hello.
Okay.
Ah, I can hear you now. Just a second ago, I did look at the connection thing and it was red for a second. So
So
it's,
was mine.
yeah, must be either Discord. I mean, yeah, must be on Discord's end, I have to imagine.
Discord had a real one for a sec there.
All right, so,
Last thing I heard was Professor would say, and then silence.
okay. So,
Professor would say nothing.
um, Professor would say, other than the general Inkwell ambiance, we don't really know.
Right, okay, that's all right. That's fairly standard. Um, okay. And you haven't visited any major inspiration sites like the well or any of the smaller founts around Zatori? Uh, no, I haven't really ever left Villestown. Oh, well, that's fair. All right then. Let's get you hooked up. Let's see what we've got here. I can't imagine anything. I can't imagine anything too untoward. You don't seem to be having any major side effects. Um,
The,
and she will stick it.
huh?
You started to say something and I
Oh,
interrupted.
yeah, the professor would kind of like give Yura a look like, I don't know if we're gonna get standard results, but I think it's gonna be okay, but I don't know if we're gonna get standard results here, given the what we know.
Just like silently looking at the professor, like, yeah, no, this is gonna be weird, isn't it? Knowing my luck, knowing the fact that this lady basically just said what could possibly go wrong, this isn't gonna be normal.
Yeah. Uh
This lady just jinxed it.
huh.
He's not gonna say that out loud because she's a medical professional. This is her job,
Yeah.
but as somebody who, knows the power of the jinx,
Yeah.
he's just like, this is not gonna go normal at all. And it decidedly doesn't. Because, I guess, roll me a reaction time check. I don't know if there's a
Shit.
specific stat for that.
I think that would be a dex of some, maybe a dex save.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, I will also roll that because I will have a higher DC because I am point blank on it.
All right. Let's see if I remember how to. Wait. Okay.
16 plus 5, I'm good.
I'm in the right zone. This plus what's my modifier? Pretty decent. All right. I got a 15.
Okay, you are also good.
Cool.
Yeah, so the inspiration level test is, basically, it's nothing that, gets clipped on anywhere. It's more of just, there's kind of, it almost looks like a magnifying glass.
Huh.
With a wire attached to the handle that hooks up to the machine. And kind of gets waved around over Yuura, over specifically, specific points of interest go to, over the chest, over the eyes, and on top of the head, because those tend to be places where inspiration tends to, for lack of a better term, pool. Because your eyes are the window to the world, your head is where your ideas come from, and your heart is where your feelings come from.
Yeah.
And there is a sudden, like the machine was making like a soft, almost musical humming noise before. As soon as Lauren starts trying to get a read on Yuura, that humming pitches up by like 10. And the magnifying glass thingy in her hand starts, rattling a bit. And her eyes go wide, and she very quickly pulls it away from Yuura. Yuura, like, has the sense to duck. As the glass in that magnifying glass kind of shatters and launches itself around the room.
Oh. Oh no.
Luckily, both Yuta and Professor like beat the DC
Mm-hmm.
to not get hit. Uh, but Lauren is looking at that and just, okay. Um,
Are you alright?
are you both all right?
Oh, I'm okay.
Yuta shakily holds up a thumbs up. Um, good. So, suffice it to say, that is not normal. Um,
Hmm.
I do apologize. That usually doesn't happen. Never had that happen. Hang on. She walks over to the little monitor thing and checks the numbers. Uh, and her expression goes from baffled to slightly concerned, and she looks back over at Yoda and she's like, "And you said you're sure you didn't visit the Well of Inspiration anytime recently?" Um, yeah, as far as I know.
Never.
Okay. Then how on... All right. So, let me walk you through somewhat of what I'm seeing. You know your own history better than I do. Maybe you can explain some of this. Um, what we've got here, your AIL and PIL are both very, very low. Your body doesn't seem to need a lot of inspiration to stay functional,
Hmm.
and that's good because there isn't a lot active in your system at the moment.
Hmm.
But your generative is exorbitantly high.
Hmm.
I I haven't seen a generative inspiration level this high since I was doing direct studies on the well.
Hmm.
And even that had a higher passive and active to balance out the higher generative. This, you definitely have the highest ratio of generative to usage that I've ever seen
Hmm.
in a tune. This is
Well,
decidedly unusual.
one possible explanation. He was a non-magic user as a human. Um, so that might have
Okay.
that might explain the active and passive. Um, Otherwise, I don't know. You're a maybe, yeah, maybe Dyer's gift.
Maybe I don't know. I mean that isn't it's not really a magic source, is it? I mean, it's mostly just
Hmm.
well, I mean, I guess it kind of works like a magic source.
It it was. I mean, it was certainly doing a lot for you for a while there. So,
Yeah. I can't exactly get rid of it. Um,
right.
but it is that bad? And he like looks over at Lauren, and she kind of hums and chews on her lip a bit and is like, "Well, that depends on your present quality of life, dear. It, have you been noticing any magical surges around you? Any technology going on the fritz? Any um anything like that? Any, you know, if you get if you get like a paper cut or something, does it does your body like try to magically heal itself fast enough for it to burn or anything?"
Hmm.
Yoda like thinks and shakes his head and says, no, paper cuts just kind of heal like paper cuts are supposed to." Well, that's good.
Can I roll to
It's
see if if Professor thinks of the berries?
Go ahead.
All right. Let me see. This might be. Would this be like history or?
We'll go with history.
Okay.
Um,
Alright, well, we will see what this turns out to be, because I have a good modifier, but this is not a great roll. That is a 12.
Okay.
You can say no.
Yeah, I think that's the professor like recalls that there's some things that have been a little bit odd around Yuura, like the plant life thing.
Yeah.
Because, plants around Yuura seem to grow strangely well.
Yeah.
But,
However, like, one of them, it's by that wacky tree, and the other
mhm,
are, like, plants that have been, like, altered by, his weird magic even before his overblood.
yeah, basically, in both cases where plants around Yuura have been growing weird, it's, partially excusable by they were exposed to magic pre-Overblot
Mm.
and, are therefore a little fucky.
Mm-hmm.
Because, or at the very least, they are dealing with the effects left behind by the Overblot, because anything that's
Yeah.
growing in the Glass Grove is growing in ground that had all of its stuffness taken away from it.
Yeah.
Um, so he can remember that, yeah, there's some odd stuff that's been going on, but he doesn't really think that it could be connected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he just kind of, like, thinks and, like, shrugs and shakes his head.
Yeah, Yoda also shakes his head like, no, I haven't noticed anything like that. And Lauren does not look fully satisfied
Uh-huh.
because this is a fucking anomaly.
Yeah.
This is a very anomalous situation. Uh, it is not normal for one Toon to be roughly on level of output with the fucking well, but
Yeah.
but you know what? If it's not hurting him
Mm-hmm.
and he seems to be doing okay, then it's not an emergency, but it is a note that she'll have to make on his file. And, that's basically what she says is, all right, if it's not causing you any active problems, then as long as it doesn't wind up starting to run down your body too much, because that is something that can happen if a Toon is overloaded with too much magic. Think of it like why clerics can't just continually call on the magic of their god. Too much magic into one body, not good. Not good for the system.
Mm.
Uh, but as long as it's not trying to burn you up from the inside, uh, and as long as, you promise to come back in if it does start to give you trouble, uh, then for now we'll put the mark for that uh, on your file, just so that uh later any later medical professionals don't wind up with this. And she kind of looks down at the shattered magnifying glass in her hand.
Ah, right.
Um, just so they know to be careful with the equipment and probably calibrate it a little better. And she kind of taps her fingers against it and casts the mending spell, so all of the little bits of glass zoop back in from around the room to fit back into the lens.
Very nice.
Um, we'll make sure that there's a note on your file for that, and as long as it's not causing you too many problems, you should be fine. But if you do start to feel anything like that, anything like, for example, healing abnormally fast, but with, pain as a result, or wild magic surges, or, for example, if you've got like a watch or something that starts to tick a little bit too fast whenever you're around, let us know. It's and she does kind of like look over at the professor and think for a moment, because he's real kind, so she's looking for a frame of reference he can use.
Mm.
And she kind of snaps her fingers and says, "It's a bit like if he'd gotten struck by lightning."
It, he just, like, eyes wide and like, huh?
You know how when somebody gets struck by lightning, different things around them, they might seem outwardly fine, but their
I,
their system might be running a little bit too fast, or if they have a watch or something with a quartz battery, it will start to fritz out around them.
yeah, I am well aware of what happens when you are struck by lightning.
Right, so think of it like that in terms of what you're looking for,
Huh. Alright.
but with magic instead of electricity.
Right.
Um, Yuna just kind of looks at Professor like, "What do you mean you are experienced with being struck by lightning?"
Not what he said, but also not wrong.
Just concerned expression. Just, Prof, I don't like how familiar you sound with that. Are you okay?
I am fine.
You promise?
I promise I'm fine. Yes.
Okay. Just, I don't know. It's concerning when your friend says, "Oh, yeah, I'm totally familiar with lightning."
He just kind of like shrugs. Like, uh, sometimes you're just working on something metal during a storm and things happen.
Professor!
I didn't have much of a choice.
Uh,
I was fine. I got completely checked out afterwards. Besides, you know what I'm like. I don't stay down very long.
Yuna just crosses his arms and pouts. Because, yes, but also he loves you and he's concerned for your well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Just grumbly. Just try not to do it again.
I try my best not to not to have that happen again. It's not an experience I would like to repeat.
Yuna trying to mother hen someone who is several times older than him.
uh,
Does he care? And he show he care by worrying.
yeah. And his worries are not completely unfounded because while he was not struck by lightning recently, he did receive a bit of a shock in one of his latest off-screen adventures.
Mm-hmm.
Back on Darth.
Yeah.
uh, but he came out of that all right. So.
Yeah. But yeah, Lauren like looks between the two of them and just kind of makes a subtle note on the clipboard of, "Yep, okay, definitely found family." Um, and she like looks over the readout again and is just like, "All right, well, it got a little bit garbled, but it does look like your genre and rating are currently still in a flux state as well. So we will, ideally you'd be coming in for something like this once a year, at the very least until your design settles to a decent amount. I know that a lot of tunes have their design wind up settling in their 20s or 30s,
Mm-hmm.
and don't show much sign of aging until they hit maybe 50 or 60.
Mm-hmm.
And that's dependent on, if what design they have is something that can age. She like
Right.
looks a little bit
Right.
looks a little bit like, oh god, it's complicated.
No, I get it. Toon Robot may not show signs of aging.
Exactly. Or, someone who has maybe a more non-standard appearance where we can't tell what the signs of aging are.
Right.
I've gotten reports from Toontown's branch that they've got a couple who are like that, where they had to figure out what the differences were. Um, we don't tend to have as many of those here in Villestown. We do tend to have more humanoid or human presenting Toons here in Villestown as a rule. Um, although we do definitely have a solid amount of an anthropomorphic population, we have less of the robots and the
Kind of object looking.
yes. And definitely less of the direct animal sort of Toons. We do tend to run the scale of human to human presenting to anthropomorphic animals to simplified humanoids, as you would see in someone who was, say, more directly UPA. And we get a fair bit of bleed over here from people coming into the country from Giznap and from some of the others, but especially from Giznap with all that they've had going on recently. And so, when people come over here, you wind up with more of that Frank and Ollie appearance to folks, or Hazen, like myself. So, we do tend to see more humanoids here, but
Villestown is still relatively diverse.
yes, of course. There are exceptions to every rule, of course. But yes, so we should be having you come in every year for a bit just to make sure that everything's going smoothly, and to make sure that nothing too drastic changes, or that if you do have, character intensive redesigns, which do typically happen at the younger ages, when you're in the space of, say, 9 is the youngest we've seen start, but typically you're looking at more of 11 to 12. And from there to, say, 19 is roughly when you're going to see the most drastic character redesigns.
Not dissimilar to, say, human puberty, for example.
Exactly, not dissimilar at all. For Toons, of course, it is based more on mentality and emotion, and therefore, when you're young and your emotions are running high, you're going to have more drastic changes.
It's funny, it's almost exactly the reverse in humans. You have so many changes going on that your emotions run high.
Precisely. It's a fun bit of irony. I've done a little bit of study on the comparison between Real Kind and Toonkind because with, my own manifestation style, I do have to be aware of both sides of the equation. Hasen are unique in that regard. But yes, it does tend to run directly counter, where for Toons, puberty is a manifestation of emotion, where because you are young and you have a lot of emotions running through your body is going to rapidly change to reflect that. Whereas humans, because you are getting older, your hormones get out of whack, your emotions go crazy, and your body starts changing. So it's very funny. It is directly counter to each other, yes. But convergent evolution, different reasons for the same effect.
Yes. Always very interesting to see. Well, once a year, I think we can handle that. We'll do our best.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be the exact same day every year. You don't have to come in on the 28th of January every year. You just make sure that, once a year you manage to get in, whenever you've got a free minute. We totally understand the plot tends to grab people by the horns and not let go. So, if something happens that keeps you away for a year, that's fine. Just make sure you get in as soon as possible and we can, check you out to make sure you're okay, especially after a major event in your personal canon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, those do tend to mess with your design a bit, especially if you wind up massively injured or if you wind up having any kind of personal revelation that can cause some major design shifts. So basically, once a year, unless there's something insane that happens, in which case, get in as soon as possible.
All right. Professor like
Um,
looks to Yura to make sure like, yeah, it's good.
Gives like a little thumbs up and just like, yeah, no, that makes sense. It's like, you do your yearly checkup, and then if something goes wrong, you go to the doctor's office.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, you've got it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but that should cover the metaphysical stuff. So now we get into the parts that, admittedly, everyone seems to find a little bit more scary, but I can assure you, it's not nearly as scary as it looks. And Yuna kind of looks at her, looks at the professor, looks back at her, and is just like, that's really not comforting.
It's not especially reassuring, no.
Not as scary as it looks implies that it's still scary. She just kind of blinks and just laughs and is just like, well, you've got me there. I do apologize. Uh, but I can assure you, it's aside from a little bit of a pinch when we do the medium test, you should be absolutely fine. None of this should be in any way painful. It's just a little tiring. All right? Okay. Still not 100% sure, but sure, I guess. You're the expert.
I figure you can handle it, Yura.
Your confidence is very reassuring, thank you. I appreciate the vote of confidence. Um, and, uh, yeah, so, Lauren kind of laughs and is like, all right, so we're going to start with kind of what the ECCR is known for, which is going to be your color swatch. Have you ever, I know you haven't had it done, but do you know someone who's had one done, who's explained it to you, or? Yura kind of shakes his head and is like, I read about kind of what it is, but it didn't go into detail. It just mentioned that it's standard procedure for character design archival. Right. Did what you've read tell you anything about why it's done? Um, Yura kind of like pauses, thinks for a moment, and like tries to rattle off what he remembers of like, yeah, it's used to um basically a Toon's color palette can be very indicative of their personal health, so it's
Mm.
important to keep a standard of what their color palette is so that if they get sick in a way that, changes their colors, uh they have what your colors look like when you're healthy for comparison.
Yeah, like find your normal. Sometimes there's a person whose, normal blood pressure is bordering on low, but that's just their norm and it works for them. But, unless you
Hmm.
have that written down on paper, someone's going to look at it and be like, "Huh?" But if they see that, you've had this same reading for the past 10 years, they're going to be like, "Okay, it's probably fine."
It's probably fine. You're just weird.
Yeah. Same with colors for tunes.
Exactly. It's like, when you have the friend who runs so extremely hot, you're like, what the fuck, do you have a fever?
Yeah,
No, that's just how they are.
exactly.
Um, so, it's important to have those on record. And also, when it comes to things like, for example, if you get injured badly enough to need
Transfusion of.
some kind of surgery,
Mm,
or, transplant, it's important to
mm,
make sure that the colors match because the color and medium matching are both very important.
mm-hmm.
Not just for aesthetics, but because there is a chance of rejection if the colors clash too hard.
Ah, that does make
Especially
sense.
especially if your body is not naturally adaptive. Some
Mm.
tunes are more flexible than others in that regard. Other tunes, it is theirs or nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
Some tunes basically have such solid designs that anything you put with them will just snap to match what they've already got.
Mm.
Whereas others have a situation of like, um, others have a situation of like, there is that chance for rejection if it doesn't match up and if the colors clash.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, and Lauren listens and just kind of nods and is like, yep, that's exactly right. So how this works is we've got this little what's it right here. And she like walks over to her desk and pulls out a color swatching kit, and shows Yura what looks like a little eyedropper tool.
Mm-hmm.
But you know how ballpoint pens work?
Yes, capillary action.
Yes, where you've got like the little
Or wait,
metal
ballpoint
bearing.
pens? Sorry, that's a different thing. I was thinking of
Yee,
fountain pens.
yee. So you know how with ballpoint pens you've
Mm.
got like the little metal bearing in the tip that the ink flows over?
Yeah.
It's an eyedropper tool that has a little bit of a bearing like that, and she shows how um the capsule at the end is not actually a um it's not actually a squeezable capsule like you'd see on an eyedropper.
Mm.
It is a little glass bottle full of a specific kind of fluid, which Lauren explains is a color match medium
Mm.
that they use. That basically they bring a little bit of that fluid into contact with the different parts of the body that you're trying to swatch. And once you do that, um, the rest of that fluid takes on that color,
Mm-hmm.
and fills up the little bottle with that color.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then later on, they will take those little bottles of basically ink and swatch the colors onto a card.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes in your personal file.
Mm. Nice.
Yeah. And, she explains it. She shows Yura how it's done by like just doing a little bit of a color swatch off of his arm, getting the um little bit of, white color there,
Mm-hmm.
doing it off of his hair, getting the brown, that sort of thing.
Mm.
Um and, it's painless and, he lets her go through the rest of the process.
Mm-hmm.
Uh he does wind up Muppet scrunching a little bit after she has to do his eyes.
Yeah, yeah. I had thought of that. Like, yeah, that's at least gonna be a little uncomfortable, you know.
Yeah. Where she's just like, I know it's gonna suck for a second. Oh gosh, you've got a lot of colors in here as well. All right. This is just gonna suck a little bit. I'm very sorry, dear. And she just goes through and does it as quickly as possible without, causing any pain or discomfort.
Yeah,
'Cause Yura has 4 different colors in his eyes.
man.
Um,
He's just too
but
pretty.
that's where all of his color variation goes. Everything else that's just part of his body is black, white, and brown. That is just where all of his color went.
Yeah.
And she also gets, samples of, after he explains that, yeah, the purple and green from his outfit just kind of show up in whatever he wears, even if it didn't already have that.
Hmm.
She's like, okay, so that one's also a character color. We're gonna have to grab those as well, and that's pretty easy. She just grabs it off his clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And she, sets the little vials down on the counter, puts them into, not exactly like, so the thing that comes to mind to explain it is like it's an egg carton.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
It's like a little egg carton for all of the little color capsules.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. It's like a holder for a bunch of like round bottom flasks. Like that's a legit thing. That's absolutely.
Yeah, so she puts them all in the little egg carton and then she labels it with Yoda's name and a little smiley face. Um and walks over to um one of the different cabinets, which again she opens, and it's not a normal cabinet on the inside.
Uh-huh.
Because you know how in doctors' offices sometimes there'll be those things where like it's a door that opens from both sides.
Ah, yes.
Um, so yeah, she puts one of those in there, and closes the door, and you can hear like the other door slide open on the other side as the samples are taken and put away where they need to be put away.
Yeah. Little sample delivery doors.
Yee. Uh, and she's like, "There you go. See, completely painless."
Hmm.
And Yoda's like, "Okay, yeah, that wasn't too bad." All right, so the next one is the one that, tends to spook people. This is the medium test. So what we're gonna do is, you said you were human before. Have you ever had a blood test done? Uh, yeah, a couple times. Well, it's basically that. We just take a little bit of whatever your body uses in place of blood. You don't seem to be mixed media, so you should be, it should be fairly one and done for you. With mixed media tunes, we do have to take from different parts of the body to make sure that everything, you know, is compatible with each other, because unfortunately, mixed media is typically the result of unfortunate circumstances, and not everything likes to agree with itself.
Hmm.
But you seem to be, as far as you know, you're all made of one kind of stuff. Yoda just kind of looks at himself and kind of, pokes his arm and just like, yeah, mostly.
We think so.
I'm made of me stuff. And,
Professor's just like, the design's consistent, so.
yeah, like, visually, Yoda does not look mixed media.
No.
We will find out other stuff about
Yeah.
that later. But he does not look mixed media. He looks fairly, one type.
Mm-hmm.
And Lauren nods and is like, "All right, if you could put out your arm for me, please, dear." And she goes and gets the, stuff ready to grab the sample, the little rubber band thingy that goes around the top of your arm that hurts like a motherfucker.
Oh, a tourniquet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The alcohol wipes and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and she, sets it up, takes a couple of different vials of the stuff, and Professor, roll me perception.
Absolutely. Okay. Da, da, da. That is a 14.
Okay. So it's hard for you to catch because you are kind of, not point blank. You are sitting a little bit across the room.
Mm-hmm.
But there is something off. You notice that there is something off as the sort of ink is flowing into the vials. You could almost swear it looks lighter at the beginning and darker as it sits.
Hmm. I think he's going to kind of stand up, not abruptly, just stand up and walk a little closer, try to get a closer look at that.
Okay, would you like to roll investigation?
Yeah. Oh, that is unreadable. I will roll again.
Meanwhile, Yoda has just like pointedly turned his head away. He is not looking because that sight of that just makes him nauseous.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm the same way. I can't look, man. Like I don't get nauseous. Like I don't get nauseous or nothing, but like I can't look. I can do it fine, but I can't be looking at it for whatever reason.
Fair and valid of you. Okay.
That is a 20.
20.
Dirty 20.
Yeah, okay. So, Professor, as you watch, you've heard of the, myth that your blood is blue when it's in your veins and red when it hits oxygen, right?
Yes, he's had to dispel multiple people of that of that idea. It is not true.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there does seem to be something along those lines happening here. Because as you watch, when the blood flows into the vial, or when the ink flows into the vial, it starts as, a very familiar red color that you would expect from human blood,
Yeah.
and then very quickly turns black.
Mm-hmm. He's going to, as this is still going on, he's going to like point at where it is doing that and say, "Doctor, are you noticing this color change here?"
Yes, that's not. Hmm. That's unusual. I don't. Why would it do that?
I don't know. Is that not typical in someone who's been transformed?
Decidedly not.
Hmm.
Usually, a transmutation is you're going to see a complete transformation.
Hmm.
Uh, so honestly, usually transmutation-based manifestations have more consistent mediums than standard manifestation.
Hmm.
Because with standard, you can have genetic variants and whatnot, whereas with transmutation-based manifestation, you are getting someone who has been directly turned into a Toon, rather than somebody whose, genetics might bring in Toons of different subtypes
Hmm.
or, you know, any number of outside influences. This is
Is there a possibility of a uh, partial or incomplete transformation, perhaps?
it's possible. It I wouldn't know how to test it though. It seems like as soon as it hits oxygen,
Hmm.
it's like that one damn urban legend.
Right.
As soon as it hits oxygen, it turns to, honestly, just from color and texture, that looks like fairly standard India ink.
Hmm. As he's talking, the professor does just kind of gently ruffle Yura's hair.
Yeah, that's just like got that expression on his face of just like, oh, this isn't good. It is never good when you hear a medical professional say that's unusual.
Yeah, the professor's just staying calm, just telling him, just, giving him the vibe of it is okay, you know.
Yeah. She just Lauren just kind of like also notices Yoda's, visible disquiet and is just like, you don't seem to be showing any signs of ink poisoning, so we can at least assume that your internal systems are built to handle whatever this is.
Hmm. What
It's
is
the what?
ink?
Sorry, go ahead.
What is ink poisoning?
Well, ink poisoning in humans. You know,
Oh.
ink is not necessarily the best thing to have running through your veins if
Oh,
you
gosh, no.
are a standard human being.
Okay. Just, okay, alright. Admittedly, I just not encountered that specific scenario. Alright?
Yeah, no, getting ink inside of a wound or into your, God's forbid, into your cardiovascular system as a human is typically pretty dangerous.
Hmm.
Um, because, or ingesting it is pretty dangerous as well because ink is known to
Right.
be toxic. Toons are less prone to ink poisoning, although there are certain conditions that can happen. Certain ink types tend to be self-corrosive, for lack of a better term,
Hmm.
or it can function a little bit like an autoimmune disease where the ink will try to attack the body.
Hmm.
Um,
A different ink acting on, well,
Correct. For
yeah.
example, if you have a Toon whose medium is a rather low low acidity paper,
Mm.
they're not going to hold up super well if they have watercolor ink. You'll if they're made of a more fragile paper, but their colors come in watercolor ink, then you'll need to do a couple of different, basically just a couple of different daily care things to keep it from, their ink wearing through their medium.
Oh, all right. They're just a little more
Um,
fragile, is all.
exactly. Or there's a very rare ink type called iron gall ink, which tends to eat away at anything you put it on.
Mm.
Um, we haven't had a patient with iron gall ink in decades,
Mm-hmm.
but there is a history there, and it is one that we are taught in schools to look out for because it can be incredibly dangerous. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but Yoda here, you don't seem to be having any sort of consequences or side effects. It just seems like whatever you've got in your system changes when it leaves your body.
Is it just changing color, or do you think it's changing
It's
consistency as
difficult.
well?
It's difficult to tell. It seems a little bit thicker when it's going into the bottle than when it's flowing out of the vein, but
Mm.
that could just be a matter of blood pressure.
Mm. Interesting.
It's just sitting here processing this information, like, yep, okay, this is fine. I'm fine.
He just kind of
This
pats
might
his
as well happen.
he just kind of pats his head like, if I can figure out some way to test it while it's still in you, then maybe we can try something like that.
If if you find a way to do such a thing, do let us know,
Mm.
because it would be helpful. You I know it said on the paperwork that you're called the professor. You work in education then?
Uh, I do. Yes, actually. Been
Oh,
giving a few classes, but uh, my say interests and areas of study are varied and many.
gotcha. Sort of a student of learning situation. I've got you.
Yes.
May you never meet Mr. Carter. Um,
Hmm.
that is a reference just for me. But um, but yeah, she takes the medium sample and she kind of squints at it. She looks at the different vials and is like, "All right, let me." So what we do with these is we've got a couple of different standard mediums that we check against to see which one they match best with.
Mm.
Um, so I can show you how that works and we can check it out.
Sounds good.
Um, and she, walks over to again one of the cabinets and pulls out kind of a those little like wooden racks that you can set a bunch of different test tubes into, and I know when I was in chemistry class,
Mm.
we did like one where you had like a bunch of them with different stuff in them, and then you add the same thing to all of them, and
Yes.
watch the different reactions.
Yes. Yes. We do that. Yes.
So she pulls that out and kind of explains, like, right, so this one's got ink, this one's got paint, this one's got a little bit of clay slip in it. Uh, going through different mediums that are in there.
Mm.
Um, and kind of showing the differences between all of them. Like, yeah, with the digital one, when she swirls it around a little bit, if you look closely, you can see the pixels around the edges.
Mm.
With the watercolor, it's interesting because the color of the ink inside kind of bleeds beyond the line art of the test tube.
Ah, that's fun.
Um, that sort of thing, just showing the way that the different mediums interact.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she kind of takes one of the different vials that they've taken, and takes a little like dropper tool, um, and starting on one end of the rack of mediums, she puts a drop into each of the vials,
Mm-hmm.
and then stares at it for a minute and blinks in confusion. And if you want to know why, you're gonna have to roll investigation again.
Absolutely. I realized as I was like, oh, that's so cool, the professor would also be very interested in just looking curiously. So, yes, I will roll investigation. Like, yeah, there's no way he's watching this from across the room.
Mm-hmm. Yoda is also sitting watching pretty curious, so I will also roll.
Yeah.
That's 17 plus.
And of course, he made sure that Euro was, you know, bandaged up and, doing all right after
Yeah,
the
of course.
samples.
Yeah, of course.
It's usually not
Uh,
enough to take it out of you, but,
yeah. He's got like a little smiley face band-aid on now.
Ah.
Okay, 19 and a 24.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those make it. Um, so yeah, Professor, as you're kind of watching each of those like little drops go into the vial, um Yoda's ink is incredibly distinct because it is a very, very dark black color,
Mm-hmm.
and very like, for lack of a better term, shiny.
Okay.
Um,
Glossy?
it's it's got a high contrast, basically. You've
Uh,
got pitch black with a bright white highlight
oh,
when
okay.
it's in the vial.
Got it.
So, it's very distinct. You look at it and yeah, that's black ink.
Mm-hmm.
But the mediums that are in the little vials are all red.
Oh.
So so if you put black ink into red mediums, which, or wait, no, they wouldn't be red, they would be blue,
Hmm.
because if it's kind of the reason, basically, if you've, because like red is the standard color,
Mm-hmm.
if you put um if you put red ink or black ink or something like that into a blue medium, it's going to show up better,
Uh-huh.
and you're going to be able to better track, like,
What is
okay,
doing in there?
yeah, what it's doing. Like, it's kind of the same reason, from what I understand, that like if they're trying to do imaging, they'll put blue dye in your system.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, but in reverse.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, all right. I get it.
So, reasonably, you should expect that you should see like the black ink traveling through the blue mediums.
Yeah.
That is not what winds up happening.
Mm.
The black ink hits the blue medium and for a second just kind of sits there and then slowly fades to the same shade of blue and then shifts to the same medium.
Hmm. The professor's kind of he the thing is he doesn't know what this how this test works, so he doesn't know like what that means or that it's atypical, but he kind of was kind of looking for like a difference, like surely one of these is the favored medium, but he's like looking between them like, "Oh, they're all reacting?" Like,
They all react, and they all react in pretty much the exact same way.
hmm.
And uh yeah, no, that's another moment where, like, as this appointment has been going on, Lauren has been getting more and more just like, that's unusual. That's weird. And now she's just kind of looking at this and she does like the prayer hands motion of just, okay.
How are you supposed
Um,
to tell them apart?
well, to put it simply, that's not supposed to happen.
Oh dear.
To put it simply, usually when we do a medium test, you'll see the ink sample that you took from the patient. Um, there will be one medium with which it more effectively blends, at which point it will turn to a shade reflective of the medium mixing with the ink color in question. For example, if you had red blood and you mixed it with a appropriate medium, it would turn purple.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I it is not supposed to do this because typically if it's the wrong medium, it will, for lack of a better term, reject.
Mm.
Um,
Remain separate.
you'll yes, the pieces will remain separate.
Mm.
Whereas if, you've got the correct medium, then they'll merge and it'll look proper. It'll change colors, but I've never seen it do that.
Yeah, looking at it now, it honestly just looks like you added more of the same medium and not
Yes.
any blood. Interesting. Huh.
She kind of hesitates, and then because she did like take a couple different vials
Yeah.
of the ink to test, she
Mm-hmm.
does like
Run it again.
no, she doesn't run it again. Instead, she takes a set another like one of those little racks
Uh.
and fills a couple of those little glass test tubes with the ink from one of the sample vials
Mm-hmm.
and tries doing it backwards.
Uh-huh. Okay, okay.
Where
Adds the
she
medium to the ink.
Yeah, where she takes like a drop from the medium into the ink
Mm.
and puts it in. And, originally each of those little test tubes had black ink in it.
Mm-hmm.
By the end, it's a set of blue ink in different mediums.
Well, that's very interesting.
Complicates a few things.
Huh. I mean, at least it seems to be staying the same while it's in you, he says, turning to Yura.
Yuna just like looks at him like there's the slightest hint of existential crisis dawning on his face, but he just kind of like looks at the professor, looks himself over, and is just like, I mean, yeah, I'm sitting on a couch and I'm not turning into couch, as far as I can tell.
Yeah. I guess, well, as far as your health goes, it's really, uh, I suppose, none of our business what your blood does once it's outside of your body. But it sure is doing a whole lot.
Apparently.
That's, huh. I, I haven't seen something do this sort of, outside of, like, to be perfectly honest, like, deity ichor. And it wasn't like,
Both Lauren and Yuna give Professor a bit of a surprised look at that. You just have that on hand?
I do not have it on hand. I've seen it in action before. And it was like a particular deity. It was extremely circumstantial, but it was like their blood can be more of whatever you need sort of deal. But that this is not that. I'm sorry, you're a wonderful kid, but you're not a god.
I wouldn't want to be a god.
All right, good.
That sounds really scary and like a lot of responsibility. No, thank you.
Agreed.
Also, gods tend to be assholes in fiction.
and in reality. He just says, like, nodding. I know a few good ones. That's... Yep.
Lauren is once again just looking at the two of them like, okay, these two have some shit going on.
Uh-huh.
Um, she just kind of tilts her head and is just, I mean, I've seen mediums that are compatible with other mediums before, but I've never seen someone's ink just completely change composition to match something else.
It's... Hmm.
And if it can't be done in reverse, then that makes that, well, to put it bluntly, we would, if you ever needed a blood transfusion, we would only ever be able to use your blood for it. Which we can set up a backlog for you just in case, keep a couple of samples on hand, but, you know, obviously taking that much blood from you at once is not an option, so you'd have to come in a bit more often to get that backlog built up.
Yes. I'm trying to think. Yeah, do shapeshifters change? But you're not a shapeshifter, is the thing.
Not that I know of. But actually, funny you should mention shapeshifting. Can I have the professor roll either insight or perception?
Absolutely. Okay. Insight or perception. Now, I think they're the same modifier. I will check. That is... Yes. Yes, it is. That is a 21.
Yeah. Okay. So, hey, Professor, you were kind of distracted for a minute looking over at the different test tube vials, but as you look back over at Yuura, it's not just, you know, expression that gives the hint of dawning existential crisis. Because you've spent a fair amount of time around this kid. You know, in general, what he looks like. So you notice when you look back and his shapes and his lines and whatnot have started becoming sharper and a bit more angular. The more he looks nervous, it seems, the more pronounced that effect becomes.
He's going to go over and, like, you know, put his hand on his shoulder, try to reassure him some, like, it's gonna be alright. Like I said, it's not affecting you. It's doing something unusual, but we're unusual people.
Geta just kind of makes kind of a disgruntled hum and leans his head against the professor's side. Just there's a bit of a personal reason why he's very not happy about this, but he's not gonna go into it when a stranger's in the room.
Yeah. Yeah, the professor will give him a side hug.
And as he does, like, it does relax a little bit, and the sharpness of the lines does soften back out. Not completely, it's still a little bit more angular than usual, especially around the eyes, but, like, you know, the curls go back to being fluffy instead of more Burton-esque and angular, and whatnot and what have you.
The professor partly in want to change the subject and hoping that this is going to be a less controversial one, um, uh, sort of says, like, did you notice um, your line art changed a little bit, got a little more jagged? I've seen people do that before.
Huh? Uh, Giva kind of like squints at his wrist, like, because that's where he's got a lot of line, and like, oh, no, when did that happen? That's weird.
Oh, I think probably tied to your emotions, little upset. But like I said, I've seen that happen across honestly several types of tunes. It's like that, that um sort of snaps his fingers, like that manga thing that the people draw like when people are surprised, they've got like spikes on their shoulders suddenly, It's not
Oh
quite
yeah.
it's not that drastic, but it's like that in spirit.
It's like that thing birds do when they get upset at you and they start trying to puff themselves up.
That's right.
That does make you to laugh a little bit. As he just like imagines just the tiny, the classic tiny boar puffing itself up to look bigger because
Yeah.
you spooked it and just becoming more and more round. Oh. Yeah, but he does like calm down a little bit and is just like, "Eh, it's never good to hear you're a medical anomaly."
Yeah, I know.
Mm. He just kind of, again, he's just leaned against Professor, just, "Ugh, and we're not even done." Like, Lauren does like look at the two of them and is just like, you know what? Why don't I give you two a minute? I'll run these samples down to storage.
All right. Thank you.
You two take a moment, catch your breath, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she will like head out of the room.
Mm-hmm. The professor probably ends up sitting like on the arm of this sofa thing.
hmm I mean, there's enough space for him to just sit on the sofa proper,
Oh, all
unless
right.
he's just
I
being
was
unless
imagine
he's just being a
I
doofus.
was imagining a much smaller thing. Yeah, no, he'll sit on the sofa if that's the case.
Yeah. Yetta just kind of, he's just leaning on Professor and just very lost in thought looking. Just
Mm-hmm.
after a minute, quietly, just, I really, really don't like not knowing what's going on.
Yeah, I can understand that. You're used to roughly knowing how your body works.
hmm
This is a big change, a whole new paradigm, new set of rules. I think you could be excused for being upset and confused. I think most people would be.
Yeah. And just, is it weird of me to say it doesn't feel fair? I
No, I don't think it is. You didn't ask for any of this.
I didn't. And it was supposed to be over.
Right. We, yeah. It
I
looked like you had just settled into a normal at least mostly normal Toon, but it seems like we're getting evidence to the contrary.
Mm-hmm. And we got... I survived the impossible.
Yeah.
And yet, here I fucking am. Apparently, it's still not gonna leave me alone.
Hmm.
I'd know that fucking color anywhere.
Hmm.
And he kind of looks down at the smiley face band-aid on his arm and just frowns. He's not happy.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing we know for sure so far is that it's not harming you. So, whatever's going on, if it's been integrated, which is honestly not too surprising given the circumstances, then it seems to me like you are in complete control of it now. It is not the master of you, you are the master of it. It's yours. And
It's mine. I should be able to get rid of it.
I don't know that that's... I don't know that that's possible. I mean,
I know.
my blood is mine, but I can't just get rid of it. Not without dying. Kind of need it.
We would prefer you didn't do that.
Yes, me too.
I like having you around and would prefer you didn't commit a dead, please.
Believe me, I don't want to. Uh,
You happen to be one of my favorite people, so I would really prefer, you stick around a bit. Pretty
mm-hmm.
please.
I will. I will.
Thank you.
I'm good at sticking around.
I just... Hmm. I guess I'm just a little... I mean, we're not even done with this mess yet.
Mm.
Who knows what else is wrong with me?
Not wrong, just different. I know it may be hard to actually believe that right now, but like I said, it's not harming you. And even if it was, well, I mean, people have people have uh, disabilities, chronic conditions, autoimmune diseases. Sometimes their bodies are actively acting against them, and it's not ideal, but it's not wrong. It's it's different. And we can treat it and in some cases cure it as best we can. But in the meantime, their existence isn't wrong. It's just different.
Yeah, it's just... It's hard to keep that in mind when the different... when you're not used to being different.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think I've ever been what anyone in their right mind would call normal. I got bullied way too much in high school to believe anything remotely resembling that.
Right. But you were physically a typical human being, and that was a comfort you didn't realize you could
That was some
appreciate at the time.
that was something I did not realize I was taking for granted, no. Ugh. This stuff is complicated.
It is. It could be difficult. Thankfully, though, it does seem like this system here is, while maybe not fully ready for you, at least flexible enough to accommodate. I mean, this doctor
It seems.
has kind of, you know, uh, been a little bit aghast, but then sort of figured out how they can, take it in stride and adapt.
Yeah.
That's
She doesn't
pretty.
exactly have the best bedside manner.
Or poker face. No, not really. Well,
And again, I think I'd probably be a little bad at hiding my reactions too if it was, if this was my job and I was a specialist in this specific area of my job, and
mm-hmm.
then someone came in that just completely threw everything I know out the window. Yeah, I'd be a little confused too.
Yeah, it's understandable. But
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you haven't been like tossed out speaks to the I think the oh, I don't know, the fact that this place is, it seems good. It seems like they mean um, what they say, about helping people and trying to take care of everyone.
Mm. It seems like they're built around adaptation at the very least.
Yeah.
Mm.
You ready for the next round? Or not yet?
I think I can. I think I'm eager to get it over with.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
is it going to be existential crisis inducing to see whatever nonsense comes up next? Yes, probably.
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe afterwards we can go get ice cream or something.
Absolutely. What's your favorite flavor?
Um, I like butter pecan. What's yours?
Ooh. I like vanilla and butterscotch.
Oh, that's a good combination.
Mm-hmm.
Those two are pretty similar.
Yes.
Have you tried that kind with like a little bit of toffee on top?
I don't know that I have. I should.
It's really good. If you put like little toffee crumbles on it, it adds a little bit of crunch and a little bit of salt that makes everything taste a bit sweeter.
Ooh.
Which, if you like butterscotch and vanilla together, I'm gonna assume you're looking for a flavor blast of sugar to the face.
Mm-hmm. I like sweets.
I don't know anyone who doesn't. No, that's not true. I know a couple of people who don't.
Mm-hmm. It does seem to be pretty common around here.
Mm-hmm. Certainly, I've never heard any complaints about the pastries I bring to work.
Mm-mm. Nope.
But that just might be because I'm good at pastries.
You are. You are.
He smiles at that. Uh, I think like as they're kind of, lightening the mood, chatting about sweets and whatnot,
Yeah.
that is when Dr. Arter comes back and she's like, "All right, are we doing a bit better?"
Professor defers to Yuura.
Yetta like blinks and just kind of gives a bit of a thumbs up and is just, I mean, it's never good to hear the doctors say that's unusual so many times in one sitting, but I think I'd rather just get this whole thing over with. She kind of, uh, Lauren kind of nods and has the decency to look a bit embarrassed, and she's like, "I'm so sorry. I don't mean to make you feel, I don't mean to make you feel like you're a problem, sweetheart. It's just a little bit outside of what I've been prepared for, but that's all right. We can find ways to work around it, yeah?"
Mm-hmm.
Yetta like, again, nods and kind of gives her a bit of a smile. Um, and she's like, all right, so we're going to go a little bit down the hall because I do not have, uh, so the next bit is just the, uh, model sheet registration and, sketch exam.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and that is pretty simple. It's all done in one room.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we're going to go a bit down the hall where we have the imaging room. Uh, and we've got a bit of a screen that you go and you stand behind, undress to your level of comfort, and then we just take a couple of photos that, get your model turnaround and let us take a look at your sketch and some of your internal systems, just to make sure everything's ticking over smoothly. Yeah. And, like, kind of, wrinkles his nose a little bit, but nods.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, he will get up, um, but he will kind of be sticking close to the professor's side as Lauren leads you guys down the hall to imaging.
Yeah. He's probably got his arm around his shoulder.
Mm-hmm. Um, and yeah, imaging very much does not look like what you would expect in a real kind hospital for imaging,
No.
because this is Toonland.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so imaging, basically how imaging looks is there is, as mentioned, a large screen in the middle of the room,
Mm.
which very much looks like how cartoons do X-rays, where it's like a sheet that you can roll in front of someone
Yeah.
and it just shows you their bones.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of it being solid black, it's kind of silver, like a mirror.
Mm.
Um, and there are a couple of different cameras at different points around the room.
Mm.
Like there's one like behind the screen, one on either side, and then one built into the screen itself.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Because remember, it needs to get a full model turnaround.
Right.
Um, and then, there's sort of a bench on the side of the room that's not where the person who's getting their imaging done can sit. So Professor, has a place to sit down.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little system to do the readouts with, and to, set off the cameras from. Basically, there's a control panel,
Mm-hmm.
um, and whatnot and what have you.
Mm.
And Lauren like walks Yara through it and is just like, you don't have to, you don't have to do anything you're uncomfortable with. Just if you could take off your coat, that'll give us a bit of a clearer look. And he nods, and steps behind the screen, takes off his hoodie,
Mm-hmm.
which, as usual, results in the green and blue pattern being transferred from the hems of his jacket to kind of the patterns that go down either side of his trousers.
Mm-hmm.
Because that set of colors always transfers to somewhere else on his body if he doesn't have his coat on.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of steps behind the screen, and as Professor watches, the silver thingamawhatsit, initially looks like it's working kind of like a window because you can just see Yura normally standing there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Lauren tells him, all right, so hands at your sides and look directly forward towards the camera. And she sets it off a couple of times, and there are, the flashes of the cameras going off.
Mm-hmm.
And as she does that, It's fun and interesting because first you get like the outermost layer of just Yuura as he is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start going layers deeper. You get, it goes very quickly because she's doing it quickly in sequence. Um, but it goes down through like surface layer, nervous system, muscular system,
Mm-hmm.
circulatory system, and then skeleton. And when it does skeleton, the flash goes really, really bright.
Hmm.
And then the screen goes black, and she's like, "Oh, criminy. Okay, that's not normal. That's becoming a running theme."
Hmm.
But all right. I did manage to get the full readout. I'll just have to get someone in here to recalibrate the screen. Yura, you're all right. Nothing bad happened. You're okay. He kind of like picks up his coat, puts it back on, and hurries back around to the other side. Like, oh
Yeah.
no, I broke it.
Uh,
Um,
Professor's
and
just like, it's just miscalibrated. It's alright. They'll just have to run a blank again.
yeah. And Lauren like takes a minute to look over the printout because that is the fun thing. It almost works like an instant camera where there's a little slot uh at the bottom of the screen
Mm-hmm.
that spits out the different images in each layer.
Yeah.
Um and she looks it over and then frowns,
Mm-hmm.
looks over at Yura, looks at the screen. There's just no that went off before the miscalibration. What? Um, hmm. And she will set the little basically flip book of the images taken
Mm-hmm.
on a nearby cart thingy, walk over to sort of the desk that's over on one side of the room, pick up a stethoscope, and walk over to Yura, and is just like, uh, Yura, do you mind if I take a listen to your heartbeat for a moment? And he just kind of looks at her a little confused and is like, I mean, it didn't scare me that bad, but sure.
Hmm.
And she kind of hums and is like, that's not exactly what I'm looking at.
The
Um,
the professor, a little concerned now, not outwardly though, is going to try to take a peek at the pictures because, I mean, heck, maybe she saw some sort of like, abnormal heart valve or something.
mm-hmm. So, Professor, roll me medicine.
Uh huh. Oh, that's fitting. All right, that is what is your medicine modifier? We don't use this a lot. Uh, all right, well, just as well you rolled good. That is a 21.
Okay, yeah, that is fitting. So, the first image is of course just Yoda as he looks on the outside, and that's, to be expected, and it gives you kind of a full turnaround of front, either side, and back.
Mm.
Um, and it fairly standard. Um, you've got the bandages and whatnot. Although it does, interestingly, it puts red highlights on the edges of the design.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it puts in red lines like you would do for art.
Mm-hmm.
And Yoda has red lines over the bandages that he has,
Mm-hmm.
indicating that they would not be cosmetic pieces, but in fact part of his shapes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So like they're showing up, but like his, I don't know, pants art or something, or his shirt.
Basically, like his shirt and his trousers don't get the red line effect. They are still shown normally,
Right, right.
but they have the solid black line art, whereas, anything that's part of the body gets the red line effect. And actually,
Mm.
underneath the trousers, you get the red line effect on the edges of the bandages that are wrapped around Yoda's legs up to the knees.
Ah, okay, okay. Yeah, that is
Um,
interesting.
so that's, the first oddity.
Mm.
Secondly, you get the muscular system, which is weird
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, Toons don't tend to have super detailed, fibrous muscles as you would
Mm-hmm.
see in like a human being.
Yeah.
But there are still distinctive muscle groups,
Yeah. You got your
especially,
bicep and shit.
yeah, especially in a more humanoid Toon
Mm.
like Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
Except Yoda doesn't seem to have those.
Oh. Hmm.
Instead, it's just kind of loose, flexible shapes.
Hmm.
Um, almost like almost like somebody just barely started blocking out the shapes of like a set of muscles.
Ah. Huh.
The
Okay.
biggest broad stroke shapes, basically.
Yeah, yeah. This
Or like
is
when you
this
do,
is the arm, and that's
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah, almost like when you do a drawing and you break the drawing down into its base shapes. That's basically what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm. The arm is two rectangles and a ball joint or something.
Basically, yeah, like two teardrop shapes and like a little circle in the middle.
Yeah. All right, all right.
Um, and then below that is the nervous system, which again, weirdly simplified.
Uh-huh.
And in the case of the nervous system, not only weirdly simplified, weirdly symmetrical.
Mm-hmm.
And the lines are a lot bolder than you'd expect on somebody with, a typical organic makeup,
Yeah.
indicating that the nerve, like the lines of the nerves are a lot thicker.
Yeah.
Um, which, who knows what that means.
Yeah, the professor doesn't. Not yet.
Um, but then you get to something that explains that 21
Mm-hmm.
because you get to the circulatory system page,
Mm-hmm.
and that is very familiar.
Yep.
And you now know why Lauren was concerned.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he recognizes that cardiovascular layout, and I think as soon as he registers it, he's walking back across the room, and basically, uh, I imagine she's like, reached over to use the stethoscope. He's going to like come between them and like push the stethoscope away.
And Lauren will like step back because, oh, okay, we're stopping. But Yuna does look at the professor like a little confused, like, Professor, is something wrong?
He's just kind of quiet. He doesn't know what to say. He doesn't know how to explain this. Um, he is visibly concerned this time, um, but also at a loss. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he's really not sure what to do here.
I think Yuna will like kind of reach up and if he's okay with it, take his hand
Mm-hmm.
and give it a bit of a squeeze, like, hey, you with us?
Yes. Yes.
Do you, do you need a minute?
Uh, um, okay. Okay. I have a question. And he's going to turn to um Dr.
Dr. Arter.
Arter. Um okay. How secure is your data?
Um, how do you mean?
I
And
mean,
now she's got a little bit of that defensive look, like, because, if somebody
oh
asks how
yeah.
secure the data of a medical system is, it's just,
No, yeah, that's
excuse me, that's suspicious.
yes, yes. I mean, can somebody who is unauthorized get into somebody's records and see what they are and take them? Can you lot keep secrets?
Lauren is looking at the professor, and there is an immediate, like, note of, oh, okay. Because, like, this whole time something's been going, she's, like, been making that note of, there is something going on
Mm.
with Professor and with Yuura.
Uh-huh.
And she's just kind of been making the note of, like, it's probably plot stuff. They've probably got, their own story stuff going on.
Mm.
You know, not my business to pry. At the
Uh-huh.
very least, not unless it becomes a medical emergency.
Right, right.
Um,
And it seems to suddenly have
and
become medically relevant.
mm-hmm. And she can also tell that, that's an interesting reaction to have to something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of pauses for a minute, thinking on how to explain it, and says, the only people who have access to our records are the archivists within the ECCR's system and the doctors we work with, and the doctors we work with are only allowed the records of their own particular patients.
Do you trust your archivists?
I do. But I can also understand why somebody who doesn't know them wouldn't.
Do you have other do, do you have high profile information that you're keeping secure?
I think you can understand when I tell you that's classified.
Yes, yes, but look, if you're okay, yeah, if you're good at keeping secure the data of your average Jomo and Sally, that's great. I'm happy for you. But unless I know that you have experience keeping secure data that other people actively want, it's different.
You think that this data would be a risk factor?
Yes. In short, yes.
And she kind of sits down on the edge of her desk and taps her fingers, thinking for a moment. Because out of character, I can tell you that yes, the ECCR does have a couple of high-profile cases where,
Mm-hmm.
they have to keep track of specific people who have different things going on because maybe there are people who have some kind of connection to the pillars of Einquell, or maybe there are people who have,
Criminal.
people who are in people who are criminal, people who have witness protection, people
Mm-hmm.
who are in witness protection systems.
Yeah. Yeah.
But because they have that classified information, she's not gonna tell him.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that was what she meant by, I'm sure you can understand when I say that that's classified. Like, even if there was, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. In the meantime, also, Professor is probably got a hand on Yura's back, and just kind of given him a like look of like, I'm sorry, but I need to ask this.
Yeah, and Yura does just give, like, the understanding nod of just like, yeah, no, you're clearly upset about this.
Mm-hmm.
You take the lead if that's what you need to do to make sure everything's safe.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Like, Prof, he trusted you to be his safe person here, and you are doing that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he's not gonna cast complaints about that. He's a little concerned and a little confused,
Yeah.
but
All right. He just wanted to make sure he wasn't like actively distressed.
mhm.
At least not much. Like at least not too much, you know?
Yeah, like there is like the littlest bit of that sharpening of the shapes in the line art of just,
Yeah.
okay, something's clearly going on,
Yeah.
but he doesn't protest, if that's any comfort, I guess.
Yeah. It might be of note that like the professor is not like fussing over Yura. He is like fussing at the doctor basically, which is
Hmm.
maybe subtextually indicative that like the problem is not with Yura, or at least not like imminently. So
Hmm.
yeah.
It's not something Yura has done wrong or that is wrong with him. It is something that the professor is concerned the doctors might do.
Yeah. Yeah. You can read the subtext.
Um, yeah. Um, and Lauren kind of levels a look at the professor
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of gives him, the once over of just, okay, this is someone who's clearly freaking out. This is somebody who thinks that this information would be a risk factor, implying personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
I have to handle this delicately, but
Mm-hmm.
also I can't give anything away.
Yeah.
So she kind of folds her hands in front of her and says, I can't give you information on any of our other patients, especially not on any cases that may or may not have similar risk factors, obviously.
I
But I can assure you, our system, our records have never been breached. That is, I understand that that is probably not the best comfort because that does sound hubristic in the sense of, oh, it's never been breached and it couldn't be breached in the future. I can't guarantee that. I'm not a miracle worker. But I do know that our systems are very secure, that our channels of information are handled by people who have been dedicated to this job for decades. And I know that the only Einquell Continental Color Registry branch that has ever had an issue with loss of with loss of assets didn't have any issue with their records, they had issues with their materials.
Hmm. Okay. Well, I don't want names, I don't want info. I just wanted to know if you had that sort of information, but if you can't tell me that, can you tell me you haven't been breached? Can you tell me if you've been tested? If people have tried?
And she kind of thinks for a minute and picks up the sort of bit of glass that works as kind of almost like a tablet that interfaces with the system.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and for one, he can tell there's actually a couple of different layers of, just the registration to unlock that.
Mm-hmm.
Because, it's not just a pattern, it's not just a password, it's a password and a fingerprint and whatnot and what have you, and an ID number and whatnot.
Okay, so he can see her working at it. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. And she goes into the system and she reads it over. This location has never had an attempted data breach. Um, Partially because we keep our system in a very closed loop. And so anyone who wanted to breach the system would either need, you know, she gestures at the different unlock conditions she had to fulfill. Um, would need to either have access to all of that, and we do cycle out passwords and passcodes every week, or they would need to access the main server room, which is the most guarded location in the room in the building.
Has anyone tried to break in physically?
Physically, I don't believe anyone's tried to break in. We have the one incident that we've ever had was more of a breakout. Somebody had a friend here who uh, was receiving treatment and neglected to explain the situation to their friends and therefore got heisted by their crew.
Break out of the hospital. Uh-huh.
Yes. Um, we managed to control the situation after a bit, get the person back in to finish the treatment, but that was the only instance in which we've ever had a massive security breach.
Okay, I can admit you have a good record, but that's not. That's that's not.
It's not a guarantee of everything.
No, and I'm not expecting a 100% guarantee, but at least if you'd had something, some sort of failed break in, but there's nothing, and that doesn't tell me anything one way or the other.
For the most part, most people don't consider our facilities anything worth breaking into. We're a clerical organization and we don't exactly handle large amounts of money. We're not going to be the target of much criminal intervention.
You have a lot of. You have a lot of ink on hand, don't you?
We do.
Do you not have any issues with vampires?
Vampires? No, not that I've experienced. I mean, we do donate to specific vampiric food drives occasionally, when we have a surplus,
Hmm.
that we can't handle, because we do occasionally when we do ink drives, get a surplus of donations, and so we cycle out old material and distribute it to uh, various places such as vampiric food drives and different smaller clinics across across Villestown and across UPA. But we've never had any sort of break in to steal ink. Uh, I know that the Toontown branch had a similar issue to that a while ago, not with a vampire, but someone was stealing color shifter ink to what end we don't know.
Mm.
But um to put it bluntly, the Toontown branch is poorly funded, poorly staffed, and poorly maintained, so it doesn't surprise me that they would have less ability to handle such situations.
Would data collected here be shared there automatically?
No. It would only be shared outside of the Villestown UPA system if
Specifically
um
requested?
if specifically requested. If Yuura was in Giznep and was injured,
Mm.
then they would need to be able to pull up his file. So they would send us the request and we would get that sent over.
Emergency or patient permission. Got it.
Hmm.
He's kind of, he looks kind of frustrated and like runs his hand through his hair. Like it's just not fully, he doesn't seem fully satisfied with the answers. Like they're going in the right direction, but like the last little piece hasn't fallen into place yet.
Yeah, because that's unfortunately, the fact that she is having to frustrate him is probably a mark in the right direction of,
Yeah.
like, yes, it's frustrating, but the fact that you are being so close-lipped is probably a benefit.
Yes, and I think in retrospect he'll appreciate that. Right now,
Right
I
now,
don't
he
know.
is on edge.
Yeah.
If there are things you are concerned about somebody seeking out as a reason to target any of our patients, you can let one of our archivists know. You could let me know even, and I can't strike it from the record because that would, be counterintuitive
Mm.
to the function of our system. But what I can do is I can put it under further protections.
Okay. All right.
I will say we have had patients in the past who were concerned about people coming to find them. So we do have systems in place for those who are trying to hide. The only caveat is we need to know what we are hiding you from,
All right.
because we can't protect you from a threat that we do not know about.
All right. No, that makes sense. I think he's going to roll like insight on like whether he can trust her, because unfortunately, like, yes, outside threat, that is one of the problems. The other is an inside threat.
Mm-hmm.
um because he's not acquainted with this system or these people personally. So yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna roll insight. Oh, okay. Alright, that's a good roll, so hopefully... Yeah, that is a 22.
Okay. So with the 22, you, Professor, you look at Dr. Arter and you kind of get a lay of who this woman is. And for one, this is someone who has been doing her best to roll with the punches,
Mm-hmm.
but also is very clearly experienced in her work.
Mm-hmm.
This is someone who's been working here for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
This is also someone who seems to be very committed to protecting her patients because she did outright refuse to give you any information,
Yeah.
especially on any closed cases.
Yes.
Bare minimum, you can trust Dr. Arter.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know anybody else who works with her,
Mm-hmm.
but bare minimum, you know that she means what she says when she says that she is intent on keeping her patients safe.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because that is the purpose of the ECCR. It is a system built to make it easier to keep people safe and healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is someone who is very committed to that ideal.
Yeah. He's also recalling that Crystal, uh, speaks highly of the ECCR, and
Hmm.
implicit in that, trusts them. Uh,
Hmm.
so he's, starting to kind of like, calm a little bit, less sort of hackles raised, and more just like basic on guard. Um, okay. All right. So. All right. Well, let's go over what the information is, and then I'll tell you why it needs to be secure.
All right. I'm assuming then that you have a frame of reference that I don't, because the reason I was going to do the check with the stethoscope is because what I see doesn't, for lack of a better term, track. I thought that there might be a glitch with the system.
No, no, no glitch. He turns to Yuura, um, and just kind of gives him like kind of a rueful look, and like musses his hair. Yuura, it seems that you've inherited something from me, and I dearly wish that it wasn't this, but something more simple, like, I don't know, my nose. Instead, um, you've got the same heart as I have.
Uh, yeah, that just gets a bit of a confused blink. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So much is happening. It's just like, uh, what?
Um, let's get that picture over here. He's going to um, grab the scan and bring it over. And as
Mhm.
he's passing the doctor, just kind of jerk his thumb at the machine, like, does that thing work on real kind, or?
Uh, Not in the exact same way, but I can get it calibrated if you'd like.
Let's.
All right. And she will go over and handle that. It's going to take her a couple minutes because
Yeah. Not made for that.
it's not made for that. It can be done. It can be used for that purpose, but that is not the purpose for which it is designed.
Yeah.
Because real kind have a lot more squishy stuff to sort through than Toons. Real kind are not separated into layers the way Toons are.
No, they are not. um. So yeah. He shows he shows Yura the scan. Specifically the cardiovascular scan.
Yoda kind of blinks and tilts his head and is like, it looks like someone used the symmetry tool.
It does. It does, rather. Um, well, I recognize this pattern because this is what I have. This is what I roughly see when I take a scan of myself. This is what I have, and he sort of taps his sternum. Going on in here.
Yoda like blinks and then looks at Professor and then looks over at where uh Lauren is messing with the screen because again he knows that Professor keeps this shit quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks at Professor and is like, but I mean, you're family to me, but we're not related.
Yes, that's true. I don't know or understand how this happened, but frankly, you couldn't have got this from anyone else. This is
No.
not something that happens here.
No, I don't suppose it would be. Okay, that's...
I don't know if it's got something to do with when you were formed. I don't know. Did our energies or I don't know, magic or material mix somehow? I'm not sure. Everything else has been different. You don't look like me, really. But
I look more like Tome or Jubilee than I look like you.
yes. But this.
Yada actually trails off thinking about something.
Mm-hmm.
Can I actually have Professor roll history?
Yeah, absolutely. Alright. Let's see here. Okay. Not terrible. Actually, that is quite good. That is an 18.
Okay. So, bringing up the circumstances under which Yoda properly got manifested as a Toon,
Yeah.
it does actually make a couple things click into place.
Mm-hmm.
Because for one, Professor at one point did an examination of how Overblot ink works.
Mm-hmm.
And how Overblot ink works is seemingly almost the reverse of how Yura's ink now works.
Mm.
Where it would take anything you gave it and use that to make more of itself.
Right, it would corrupt other things.
Mm-hmm. And Professor would also remember the way that Yura's physical state massively deteriorated over the course of the Overblot.
Yeah.
To the point where there was a point where Yura had no heart at all, because the Overblot ink was basically piloting him around while slowly eating everything in his body.
Yep. They discussed that specifically.
Yep.
Mm.
There was an extensive amount of organ and tissue damage, all held underneath a very, very thin veneer of normalcy.
Mm-hmm.
And it all seemed to depend highly on appearances. It was very concerned with maintaining the appearance of being normal, of being stable, but underneath it was rapidly falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
And the way Yuura looks now is very different than the way he looked when he first appeared as what was supposed to be a Toon
Mm-hmm.
when he first appeared. Because
Yeah.
before, he had, much lighter hair, much lighter eyes, and had a very anime-esque realistic style, whereas now he is very heavily stylized in a way that reminds Professor and Yuura alike of characters like Tome and Jubilee.
Yeah. His colors were a lot more like natural human tones as well before.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And, you know, when you come at it from that angle of you got something from me, but that should be impossible, we're not physically related,
Mm-hmm.
and you look at Yuura, there are other things that can be noticed.
Right.
Like, for example, Professor, you have seen every color in Yura's design
Mm-hmm.
in someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look closely, that is not Yura's shade of brown for his hair, that is Jubilee's.
Mm-hmm.
That is not, a normal human skin tone, that is the same paper white as you see on Tome.
Mm-hmm.
And Yura's eyes are supposed to be, or at the very least used to be, brown.
Yeah.
But now they are the same shade of green as Camille's.
Mm.
Or green blue. I don't remember how Fletch registers it, but
It's yeah, it is a kind of bluish green, greenish blue, whatever.
yeah. With Yuura, it looks more green because his magic highlights the lower part of his eyes
Mm.
with that green color. And if you look at the way the line art moves, it is very reminiscent of Crystal with her stained glass appearance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you look at, like, for example, the shape language of his hair, that is Minami.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everybody who was there in that final blot fight, there is something of them to Yuura.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of clicks in your head of that reverse effect with Yoda's ink where it adapts to whatever you put it into and becomes whatever you put it into. It seems like that applies to his whole everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about Yuura is built by mirroring other people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's putting itself together in an approximation of what he remembers looking like.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, it looks very different.
Yeah.
And is, physically made incredibly different.
Mm-hmm.
And because, it's not like, other characters have super distinct muscular systems or super distinct nervous systems, unless you count Camille's, which, I don't know how much Professor knows about that one.
About his what?
Nervous system.
Oh, actually, he knows a fair deal about his nervous system because he's done his scans.
Yeah, so, Camille's got the whole.
Compressed.
That's a compressed nervous system. Yeah. Hey, wait a minute. Yoda's nervous system is highly simplified with the lines being a lot thicker.
Oh, just kind of like that.
Exactly.
At least in appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the point.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And the place that Yoda was before he came to Einquell, he calls it the mirror.
Yep.
So you kind of have that moment of being able to put all of that together.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Yeah, he kind of, I think probably a hand on each shoulder, like, holds Yura at arm's length and, like, he's probably scanned him up and down, like, coming to this realization and just, tilts his head. Dear, I actually, come to think of it, I think you've got traits from all of us who were with you. You've you've got that um you've got that streak like Jubilee, and that's the brown color of his hair, and you've got a similar hue in your eyes to Camille, and uh your your skin is like Tomes, and uh, you've you've got a you've got like a braid like Minami, and the sort of curliness, although you did have somewhat curly hair before. You've got sort of segmented eyes, almost like stained glass.
So, oh, he kind of blinks and like thinks about what Professor is saying and just that's and I've got this from you.
Right. It
That's
just wasn't visible on the outside.
so that would be everyone.
Yeah.
Why would it?
I
I mean, I know I was in bad shape, but
I have an idea. Dyer is from the mirror. Dyer is
yeah.
very powerful and gave you a good portion of that power to help fix you. Dyer's power comes from the mirror. You you mirrored us. I hadn't really thought to wonder why you look like this now. I don't know, assumed it had something to do with your personality. I don't know. I didn't think that much about it, but
You and me both.
right. But, why not look like how you used to, but toonified? And you do to a degree, but all the changes. Why? Well, we know why.
Because I was copying you lot.
It seems so.
Oh. You kind of Professor, roll insight.
Yeah.
Because this is a complicated set of emotions, and he is not giving me the words with which to express them himself.
Uh-huh. Okay, I got a 10. Can I use my mirror shard for advantage?
Go ahead.
Ah, please. Okay, that's much better.
What'd you get?
That should be over 20. 17 plus 4 is 21, yes.
Okay, that makes it. He's not exactly trying to deceive or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of a complicated maelstrom of feelings.
Understandable.
Because, like, everybody who was there during that final blot fight is somebody he cares about dearly, several of whom are people who he has openly acknowledged as family, and several others are ones that he considers family but has not yet, had that conversation with and therefore doesn't say it out loud.
Yeah.
But, and like, there is, sort of a conflict there of something that Yuura had noticed with his design settling is that he looks almost nothing like his birth parents.
Uh-huh.
He doesn't have his dad's eyes anymore. He doesn't, his hair is curly like his mom's, but it's not the same as hers because hers was, very, honestly closer to the professor's. It was very coiled and textured. whereas Yura's is more wavy and swoopy.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, he doesn't have his dad's eyes anymore. He doesn't have his mom's hair. He doesn't have, you know, he doesn't have, he used to have like different facial features from his parents, like his nose and his eyes and his smile.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those are different because they've been simplified
Mm-hmm.
by the art style change. And that was something that bothered him
Mm.
because while he has complicated emotions about his mother, he loves his dad.
Yeah. And would miss that,
And
of course.
yeah, he misses being able to see his dad when he looks in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, learning that he didn't he didn't lose the idea of having a strong family resemblance so much as he changed what family that resemblance is to.
Yes.
It's simultaneously like, oh, that's really nice actually, and oh, that's complicated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's again, you know, there's all of that stuff, and then again there's the, on one hand, yay, I'm a tapestry of the people I love and who love me.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, there's the, once again, my body has been changed drastically without my permission, without my say so, and without my having any control over how it was supposed to go.
Yeah.
And I am now in a position where I no longer know what it takes to take care of myself, and
Mm-hmm.
that's terrifying.
Yeah.
And if I copied, you know, if I've copied one thing that's under the surface, who knows what else has been copied?
Mm-hmm.
You know, who knows, you know, and if I don't work even the way that other tunes are supposed to work,
Then how
how
do
am I
I work?
supposed to
Yeah.
how am I supposed to know what it's going to take to keep myself healthy?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How am I supposed to know what it's going to take to know if I'm hurt or if I'm doing poorly if I can't just change what rules that I'm working towards? I was already struggling to keep up with the new rules that I was being given, and now I know that they're not even the same.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It's, you know, there's a comforting element to that, you know, to that family
Relevation.
resemblance
Mm-hmm.
there. But there's also, oh my God, I already hated this and it has gotten so much more complicated.
Yeah, absolutely. You get the good with the bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just big storm of complicated feelings, man.
Yeah. Professor just you know, pats his hair and leans in, like, it's gonna be okay, dear. It's a lot. It's complicated. It's going to be okay.
I think for now I'm just gonna have to take your word for that.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yura like nods and just kind of, yeah, no, he's in Hoodie Town. He is curled up against Professor's side and he's got his hood up over his head, just mm,
Yeah.
he's doing a bit of a scrunch.
Yeah. Professor will give him a hug.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know, bop his head against his a little bit.
Aw. I love them.
Yeah. All right. So, two hearts. Thankfully, you have somebody who knows what that's like. Uh, honestly,
That's helpful.
yeah. And honestly, of the things you could have picked up from me, I will say it is not the worst. It actually is a net positive. Um, honestly, I don't, the part I'm not especially happy about is that it is so abnormal that,
It's distinctive.
it's distinctive and curious, and people like to study things that are distinctive and curious, whether they want to be studied or not. And
Ah, Yetta can tell there's some history there and just lightly bumps his head against Professor. Just, hey, you're still here.
yeah, I, realistically, it is not likely to happen in this place. It is a lot less likely. They're very tolerant of, and he's keeping his voice down so the doctor can't hear like all of this.
Mm-hmm.
They're a lot more tolerant of aliens here than in other places.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, just want to do my best to protect you from experiencing the things that I have.
You want to keep me safe. I appreciate that. And I'm sorry you had to go through something that awful.
Thanks. But yeah, it it should be it should be better here. I think, well, you saw, I eventually determined that I think these people are worth trusting, at least with this.
I know Crystal's worked with them before. She's a pretty good judge of character.
Yes, that's part of why I think this is going to be okay.
Mm.
I'm I'm sorry I freaked out. I didn't mean to worry you.
It's okay. I can't blame you for it. I probably would freak out too in your shoes.
All right.
I mean, hell, I'm holding back on freaking out about it in my own way, but
Hmm. All right. Well,
you were upset. You were upset because you want me safe and you have experience that made you scared. I get that. He kind of squeezes Prof's hand. Just, you're good.
all
We
right.
good.
I appreciate that. All right. Well, like I said, at least you didn't get, oh, I don't know, a crippling fear of vampires from me. Instead, you've got actually one of my better physical advantages, um, which is a binary cardiovascular system. Um, it has a few, um, idiosyncrasies that need to be taken into account if there's an emergency, but otherwise, it's pretty useful. Um, it's generally more efficient. Whether you'll notice a difference in that manner, hard to say. Um,
I can't say that I've ever paid much attention to how efficient my blood movement through my body is, but I'll take your word for it.
well, that's all right. Um,
It's
well,
not like I've got like a click timer measuring my own pulse.
yeah. Well, you're let's see. You've got a double heartbeat, as you might imagine. You're
That one I'm surprised I didn't notice before.
Honestly, I am too, but I do sometimes forget that most people don't have the sort of uh, extreme interoception that I have. I can tell pretty much everything that's going on, kind of like past his chest in here. Uh, Most people,
That sounds terrifying.
yeah, it is a bit. It, well, at least I'm used to it. But,
Sounds like a lot.
pros and cons. Um, well, let's see. Yes. Yeah, double heartbeat. You'll register as having a slightly higher blood pressure, but it's not really in a dangerous manner. Your system is equipped to handle it. Um, to put it
It
simply,
just goes faster, basically.
a little bit. We'll figure out what your baseline is, and variations on that will determine if you're, you know, uh, experiencing difficulties in one direction or the other. Um,
Mm-hmm.
uh, not a pleasant thought, but should something happen, they do need to be defibrillated separately.
Yoda like nods very seriously at that one. Just yeah, unpleasant thought, but not his first time thinking about
Mm,
things going wrong with the heart. There's experience there.
yeah. Um, it should be noted that, well, I think I did mention to you a while back. I have experienced, uh, heart failure, mostly because of extreme injury. Um, but
That
I guess, but the point is, um, survival with a single heart is possible for a short time, even longer with medical assistance. Um, Ultimately, it is, uh, long term, it is extremely disabling, if not deadly. But the benefit here is that you have more time, essentially. I mean, I'm sure they taught you as a human with cardiac events, time is of the essence. The major benefit here is that a cardiac event or injury is magnitudes more survivable, and even recovery tends to be uh, much easier.
that's that's good to hear for a couple of reasons.
Hmm.
Mm, yeah, he doesn't elaborate on that, but there's kind of a bittersweetness to that note
Yeah,
of again, there's personal experience there.
yeah. The professor tilts his head a little, but doesn't press. Just kind of accepts that. So yes, a bit complicated. Bit more complicated than having one. A bit of details you need to keep in mind, but otherwise, honestly, it's uh, it's good. It's good to have. Like I said, it.
Highly recommend your own physical systems.
I. All right. Maybe my kin and I have a bit of a superiority complex, but this is genuinely an improvement, okay?
Well, I guess I'd rather have an improvement than the alternative.
Exactly.
Although it is funny, it is funny having, given everything, it is funny the drastic pendulum swing.
Yeah. All right. Let's let's get that sorted with the doctor.
Mm. And uh yeah, seemingly on dramatic cue,
Yeah.
she has gotten the thing that you sent her to fiddle with sorted.
Mhm.
And she's like, "Well, that's fired up.
All right.
You two all right?"
I think so. Just kind of pats Yura to make sure.
And he's still, in a little bit of Muppet Scrunch Hoodie Town, but
Yeah.
he does give the little thumbs up.
A little better. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
but
It's just a lot.
yeah, yeah. But the professor gives Yura another pat and goes to stand behind the machine. Um, and he says, "If you could focus on the cardiovascular only, as much as possible."
Given that that was the point of concern, I did calibrate it for that. With Real Kind, we have to recalibrate it between each shot because, not to
There's
be rude or anything, but you lot have so much squishy bullshit in the way.
believe me, I am aware. Not
And
offended.
you are so poorly organized. Toons, at the very least, have the decency to be organized in layers. You lot.
uh,
There's a reason I do not work in the hospital.
understandable. Um, but
Just there's so much more to memorize.
yup. But yeah, go ahead. Fire away. He'll
All right,
stand in the right position.
arms at your sides, and three, two, and there's the flash.
All right.
Um, and he can hear sort of the whir of it printing out the image.
Mm-hmm. All right. Um, if you take a look here, you'll see that these are very similar.
Mm.
Um, Apparently, he essentially magically got a copy of my system, which is, as you can see, abnormal. Um,
That's one way to put it.
yes. Uh, let's see. To put it simply, I've been targeted for it before and had a extremely traumatic experience. So I don't have a ton of default trust towards people in the healing profession,
Mm.
since they were the ones who. Anyway, uh, that was my concern.
All right.
His health should be fine. It's a positive, if anything. But if somebody were to find out that this was one of his traits, it could.
It's a risk factor,
It's a risk
and
factor, yes.
it's one that we can, if not completely eliminate, then at the very least mitigate.
Alright.
I can put that layer of his model sheet under password protection and keep that password limited to myself and whatever primary care doctor uh, you
mhm.
two happen to visit.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to trust you to do that. Um,
You have my word.
hmm.
For what it's worth.
Yep. Nods. All right. Well, yes. No. A few notes. I'm actually going to write them down for you. He basically tells her the same, like, uh,
What he told Yuura.
yeah, defibrillation, higher levels of this and that, um, you know,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
etc. Uh,
mm-hmm.
and yeah, basically, he does think for a minute over his own scan. Um, would having this be at all helpful for his care? Because if not, I'd honestly rather destroy it.
We can have it deleted.
All right.
And she does kind of pause and say, all right, this has been a lot. There is one more situation of concern that does need handling, though.
All right.
Um, and she will walk over to the little flip book thingy and flip to the last one, which is the skeletal system.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of walks over to the screen and does something with the photo and with a panel set into the side of the screen that brings the photo kind of up in full view on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there is definitely something weird going on. There are a couple of weird things going on, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, for example, um, Yoda. So, you know how the thing shorted out when Yoda's skeletal imagery was taken?
Yeah.
You can see why that is because that skeletal system has a metallic texture to it.
Hmm. Yeah.
And Dr. Arter kind of taps the different bones that kind of best show that off, the wider ones that show more of the texture, and is like,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know the exact material, but I would guess some form of pure metal, like a silver or a platinum, because it reacted very strongly with the magic on which our system runs.
Huh.
And there seems to be, if you look closely here, and she does kind of like zoom in with two fingers, and points that there is actually a transparent layer over each of the bones. It
Mm.
does seem as though there's sort of a coating,
Uh-huh.
almost like metal dipped in glass.
That is okay. Honestly, yeah, yeah. If it's silver dipped in glass, then it's just ridiculously. It's just taking things too literally. Mirror, I mean,
Oatmeal, I love Professor so much.
really. He's just like, this is too much.
um, and then that's the up close stuff.
Mm.
Maybe you can explain this part. And
Mm.
she zooms back out, and then zooms back in on the rib cage. And there is a noticeable gap.
Ah, yes, actually, I can explain that one. Injury.
Injury.
Yes. Unfortunately, it was not able to be recovered.
She just kind of her hands because what the fuck kind of injury neatly and cleanly removes one
Yeah.
whole bone without affecting any of the rest around it.
Yeah. He kind of like takes a look at the angle and he says like, all right, upon further analysis, this might indicate it was self-inflicted. All I can say is that he was possessed at the time.
He. Okay.
Not his fault.
Of course not. I would never assume as such.
All right.
Um, Honestly, I would be more inclined to fistfight whoever made it happen, because that is probably the most unfortunate one to have lost, but
Hmm. It is
at
an
least it was only one.
right. It is in an unfortunate position, and honestly, the new he kind of like, oh yeah, that's a weird thing to say. The new sort of redundancy system he has in place on it, with his cardiovascular system is makes that
Probably a benefit there.
exactly. Still, yeah,
Quite frankly, I don't know how I'd fix that.
I yeah, I don't know other than a metal implant, but that's super involved.
Yeah. She kind of, like, she bites at her knuckle while she's trying to think about it and says, "That's the worst of the damage. There's a couple of other spots that I have concerns about."
Hmm.
And she does, like, point out for one, uh, the bones in the hands are, as she puts it, incredibly dried out.
Ooh.
Um, because of the amount of times that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the ink that was on them just sloughed right off.
Yeah.
And Yoda just does have the decency to look a little bit guilty and is just like, I've been trying not to do that as much anymore.
Yeah. Actually, that does kind of bring me to. Let's see, where's the first one? There it is. Um, okay. Do you see this? Do you see this red line, Yura, over your sketch?
And he kind of like stands up and walks over and kind of looks at it and nods.
All right. So this red line indicates pieces that are integral to your body, your most basic design. You know, your little extra, you know, bits and bobs and details don't show up like this. And yet, he points and indicates the bandages on the hands and legs.
Oh, I could have told you that. Yoda kind of looks up at him like, wait, no, have I not mentioned that? And he, shimmies his arm out of his sleeve and kind of holds it up a bit and shows where the bandage merges into the flesh, basically where the line has a gap in it that makes everything flow through.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I knew you were playing with your bandages, but I didn't realize they were. Okay. I must have.
I've been trying to do it less.
Yeah, alright, we need to get you a different fidget.
Yoda has the decency to look embarrassed. Just,
Just.
and he go ahead.
Just gives him a little, like, you know, almost joking, little chiding tap on the head.
Just light bonk.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Lauren actually does look at that and just says, okay, wait, those come away separately. And Yoda kind of looks at her and just nods. Uh, and says, yeah, they've done that kinda since forever. Okay. You don't have to if it's going to hurt you or if it's uncomfortable, but can you show me how that works? And he kind of pauses for a minute, thinks about it, and then shrugs and says, sure, it doesn't hurt, it just feels really cold. Um, and he kind of turns his wrist over because the bandages seem to kind of converge at a specific point on the wrist.
Mm.
And kind of slips his fingers underneath the layer and kind of wrinkles his nose because, skin, gross.
Mm-hmm.
And tugs and basically unwinds the skin of his arm up to his elbow.
Mm-hmm.
And underneath is more of that pitch black with the pure white highlight. And it's kind of gooey and melty.
Mm-hmm.
And he, like, shows her for a minute, very intentionally keeps the bandages tight around his hand and his fingers, because that's where it's, as he explains, that's where it's kind of the runniest.
Yeah.
And then once she has kind of gotten a look at it and taken a quick picture and, made notes, he very quickly does those back up and pulls them a little tighter to pull everything into place.
Mm-hmm.
And he just kind of shakes his hand like, ugh, that always feels so weird.
Mm.
And she kind of, like, Lauren, bless her, is doing her best.
Yes.
But she's just like, okay. And do you have any idea why it might be like that? I mean, I used bandages to hold myself together a lot during the process that led to me becoming a Toon.
He, yeah, it was, not exactly an all at once thing. Yeah, it gets more complicated, but, let's say, um, his form.
Yuna pauses and then interrupts. I was butterfly soup for a bit.
Actually, that's not a bad comparison. Yes, it was like his outside was a cocoon and looked like a functioning person, but the inside deteriorated. Eh, until it was, well, kind of looked like that. Um, Actually worse, if you can believe it. Um,
Yeah, it was gross.
yeah. Um, but it seems to have I stabilized, improved. I mean, as you can see, he's got more sort of material to him. Um,
Uh,
he's not
I'm
goop.
definitely not as skinny as I was.
You're not goop in a suit anymore.
Goop in a suit and a bundle of sticks. She's just looking at the two of them who are giggling over the joke and just mildly disturbed. But you know what? This might as well happen. This kid is already so damn weird.
Uh-huh.
But she kind of, like, recollects herself, takes it in stride, and is just like, okay, so the gap in the skeletal structure is from a traumatic incident.
Mm-hmm.
The
Dehydration.
Yes, the dehydration of the bones is, yeah, okay, don't do that anymore. Like, she, like, looks at Yoda very seriously. Just, unless it's critically necessary, do your best to keep your skin in place, please. For my sanity and everyone else's. If not for your own safety. Yeah, just kind of, again, just looks sheepish. Just, I don't know. I fidget with my hands when I'm nervous.
Alright, like I said,
Okay,
we may.
well, yeah, your professor here has the right idea.
If you want to look through a collection of fidget toys, or I don't know, if adding some jewelry would help, because then, like, at least, if you're wearing, oh, I don't know, you've got a couple rings, then you'd have to take the rings off to mess with everything. He kind of shrugs, like, whatever works. We can find something.
Yara nods. Um, and uh, then the last couple things that Lauren takes you guys through are just the things she's noticed in, other parts of other layers, basically, like pointing out the weirdness with the nervous system, pointing out the fact that there is a spot on the back of the neck, basically, where it gets weirdly thin, especially with how thick the rest of the lines are.
Professor does know that one.
Yeah.
Jubilee explained it to him, basically. That's from Juby.
Huh? Oh no, that one's not from Juby. Although that is a funny coincidence.
Okay. Which, since you said back of the neck, I thought.
Yeah, because that's where the spinal cord goes through. It's not in the front of your neck; it's in the back.
Right. No, no, that is a funny coincidence. Okay, so you thought it for a different reason. I was thinking of it because Jubilee happens to also have a piece of missing line art on the back of his neck, that was related to, I think, one of the times that he died.
Yee. And it is, a funny bit of
Coincidence.
irony and coincidence. Yeah. Because Yura does have that gap in kind of the same place, but he's able to kind of, like, point to the decapitation scar and say, yeah, it's probably because of this.
Yeah.
And Lauren is like, okay, well, where that line is, there's basically a fragility point in all of these systems. There's the walls of the veins seem to be thinner there. The nerves are a little more thinned out and frayed there. Nothing that's going to cause any long-term damage, and it looks like it might be in the process of healing. But those are definite fragility points.
Okay.
So, do your best to maybe not take an axe to the neck anytime soon.
Yep.
Yeah, that just kind of like the cringe emoji, just, yep, I'll do my best.
Yep.
None of the best people do that.
We could get you a cone.
Just reaches over and just whacks the professor on the arm. Out of everyone in our family, I am not the one who is dog-coded. And then it's just, like, noting, the way that the different systems, aside from the cardiovascular system, which is intentionally mirroring Professor and therefore deeply complicated, closer to a real kind cardiovascular system than a Toonkind cardiovascular system. Everything else is kind of weirdly simplified. The muscles are simplified, the nerves, the bone. Well, the bones are fairly real kind adjacent as well. But the digestive system as well is fairly simplified. And um yeah, she does like make a note of just, maybe be careful with eating too much at once so you don't make yourself sick. Um because, it's a simpler system so it doesn't handle things as efficiently. But she does kind of look it all over and is just so in summary, there's a lot going on. But it doesn't seem like any of it is actively hurting you. So we can keep these on record. And if something goes wrong, or if you start to notice any complications, or, even if you just start feeling inordinately tired, or, something of that, like, come in so we can get you checked out, all right? And Yetta, kind of hesitates and nods. Mm, he looks really tired. This has been a lot.
Yeah. Professor puts his arm around his shoulder again.
Yeah.
Are there any existing problems you want to report?
Not that I can see. I mean, aside from she gestures at, Yura's arm with the being able to just take it apart and melt. That's concerning, but also it seems to be under control.
Yeah. He was actually asking Yuura if he had any experiences of concern that should be brought up.
Yura kind of hesitates. And then shakes his head.
Are you sure? You didn't look too sure.
There's only one thing, and I have that under control.
Yuura.
He, like, grimaces, and, he very much wants this to be over with, but he eventually sighs and mumbles, I'm still having issues with losing time, okay? I've got it mostly under control, but if I spend too long by myself, I start to space out. And the next thing I know, it's 3 days later, and I've missed several major events, and if I stay around other people, or if I do things that I have to focus on to do properly, it doesn't bother me. It shouldn't be a big deal.
Okay, I won't make a big deal of it. However, I think deep down you probably realize that that is not normal and should probably be looked into.
I know.
You didn't have that experience back when you were human, did you?
No.
So it's not.
I don't know.
All right.
I got used to it because that was how it.
How it
he kind of
was before. Yes.
Yeah, he puts his kind of hand to the mark on his throat again, and the place where the Viscera rune used to be, and just that's how it was for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't like thinking about it.
I know. Alright, well, now that you've told me, I can think about it for you. Alright?
It's not too much trouble.
No, dear. It's not. You don't have to think about it. I'll look into it, and if I need your input or I find out something that can help you, I'll let you know. That's what we're here for. Me, the other people who care about you, if you choose to tell them or allow me to tell them, and these people and he, gestures at the doctor and just sort of broadly at the rest of the building.
And Dr. Arter does kind of the, these people give sort of an acknowledging bow.
Mm-hmm. It's all right,
She
dear.
kind Yetta nods. He still looks just he is tired. He wants this fucking over with.
Yeah.
Uh this has been a lot.
Uh-huh.
And Dr. Arter basically says, "All right. I'll admit our equipment here isn't much geared towards what sounds like dissociative episodes. Um, but um, I can definitely, I would definitely recommend if, you say you have it handled and you are the expert in your own life, but if anything gets worse, I would recommend seeking psychiatric care. Just in case. All right?" Yerda kind of nods and kind of he doesn't have anything against the idea of psychiatric care. He just really doesn't want to think about this stuff.
Right, and going to psychiatric care means he has to sit with a person and go over it again,
Mm-hmm.
which he doesn't
And
want to
go
do.
into everything that fucking caused it,
Yeah. Yeah.
which would take a bit.
Yeah.
you know, 4 years worth of hell.
Yep.
Um, but Dr. Arter kind of nods and says, "All right, if you wind up feeling like that might be necessary, come to me. I can get you I can get you a good list of potential contacts who have experience with patients who have had more traumatic transformation-based manifestations and might be able to assist. Um,
Hmm.
but other than that, aside from maybe setting up an appointment later, because you've had a long day, sweetheart. You should probably get headed home. Uh, but maybe set up another appointment for some time to start building up a backlog for medium samples just in case of emergencies. But other than that, that should be us done for the day."
Thank you.
Of course, we're here to help. And I do apologize for how complicated this all got. I assure you, it's usually far simpler.
Well, that's all right.
And she will kind of lead the way back over to the door and hold it open for them and just, yeah, let them out.
Yeah. All right. Let's go get some ice cream.
That sounds like a good idea.
Maybe you can have yours in a cone.
I will bite you, I swear. He pulls his hand back into his sleeve and whaps the professor with it. Ah,
Well, that
but I
feels
think
like
that's a good spot to pan out.
Yeah, exactly.
Your Honor, I love them. This was so much fun. This was also incredibly long.
uh, oh well, lore drops kind of happen like that.
Yeah. But thank you
Uh,
so much for playing with me. This was a blast. Thank you so much to our listening audience.
yes, thank
And for
you.
now, we will be tuning out.
Woohoo. All right. Bye.
Bye.